Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me, he's back on the show, the biggest man himself, the big of the big. Haywo is here. What's going on, buddy?
Yo.
Haywo is
Not too much.
currently in a detention center being interrogated for some form of crime. I'm not sure what, but, you know, they gave him microphones. That's nice.
I got a brand new wizard tower, and I'm in my meditation chamber. I'm in the Panopticon.
Haywo, I think you would build one of those rooms. You know, there's like that room that's like the most silent room you can be in. You know what I'm talking about? Where it like you can hear your own heartbeat and people go insane. They can't last in there more than a few minutes.
Yeah, I can't remember the name for it, but I know what you mean.
Yes. I think you would do okay in there. I think you could probably set the record.
Yeah. You're just alone with your thoughts.
Sure.
That's what I like.
I imagine it is disturbing to hear your own blood pounding, like your own pulse, not a thing you normally hear. If you really can hear that, I suppose that would be a bit unnerving, I suppose. But nonetheless, today we're going to talk all about allies and soup. Soup's on. Okay. So get out your Campbell's, get out your, who else makes soup? Hormel? I don't know. I don't know soups. I'm not a soup guy myself in either Age of Sigmar or real life. I don't ever eat soup. I don't know.
Oh, I eat soup all the time, and I make soup all the time.
Okay.
I make a gigantic amount of soup, and then I freeze it. And it's so big that it is frozen in the shape of the inside of my freezer, like just the whole thing.
Sure. Yeah.
I get an ice pick out, hit it into a bowl, beef barley whenever I want.
Disgusting. But I'm glad it works for you. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, I've never been a soup man. Don't cotton to it. I like I want something solid. I like something I can chew. That's all I'm saying. No plans in sight. Do you eat or drink soup? I mean, I would say certainly most good soups you would be some amount of eating because they have something solid in them, I think. So
yeah, so for ramen, like authentic ramen, you eat the soup, but then you finish it by drinking the soup.
So you know what? You've caught me in a lie. If we're counting ramen or pho as soup, which I don't, but if we are, then yes, I'm a huge soup aficionado because those are actually good. But I'm thinking like anything that comes out of a Campbell's can. Like I ain't eating some chicken noodle unless I'm sick or something. You know, that's it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's just kind of, I don't know, easy to make.
Sure.
And it feels weird to go to a place and get something that you could make, unless it would be annoying or hard or something like that. But yeah, ramen, right there with you on that one. To be a soup man, I think you also kind of got to be a bread man.
Fair.
It's a match made in heaven.
Sure. For sure. All right. Well, welcome to Soup Talk, everybody, where we talk about our favorite soups.
Well, that's the name of the show. I have 10 pages of notes on soup, and then you said allies. I must have missed that.
Yeah, exactly. No.
On medication.
In what world is ramen or pho not soup? I mean, it is. Like, it is possible cabbage.
Okay, POV, you're Vince, right? We're entering the mind of Vince.
Yeah.
Like that 180s movie where they shrunk everybody down in space. Sure. You find soup so gross that ramen and pho can't be soup categorically because they're good. And so
that's exactly right. You have literally described what's going on in my head. Yes, that's exactly right. Because I'm like, all of these things are of a category I don't like, but I love these two things. So they must be different things.
Yeah.
Correct. You have nailed it. Okay. All right. Well, no, at any rate, we are going to talk about allies and AOS and soup and stuff like that tonight. That's actually the real topic. But of course, first, some news, he said, as he remembered to grab his high-tech envelope that he writes timestamps on. Or piece of paper. I don't know. I guess this is technically a piece of paper. It was what came in an envelope. How about that? Recycling. Okay. So let's get into some news. I suppose I could actually timestamp. I'm going to timestamp soup talk. Soup talk, because it's funny to me. All right, now the news. All right, So first off, we've got a rumor engine, and it's an ogre thing.
Talk.
Yes.
We're going to talk. Hey, do you remember last week's puzzler?
Exactly, yes.
12 old people in the audience are going to get that one.
100%. Oh, that was, when you were flipping through the radio, that was always a hot pick right there.
Click
Especially on a road trip, you get a couple hours of car talk in. Oh, man. Ooh. Make the time fly by. All right. We got our rumor engine for this week. And hey, whoa, it's an ogre thing. I don't know if it's a crossbow or a gun thing, but it's got to be an ogre thing because there's little bite marks in it. Yeah. So it's an ogre thing. That's it. It's just like if bite marks, then someone hungry, then ogre.
Yeah, and kind of flintlock-ish technology era level.
Yeah.
Which, as we all know, the ogres are mechanical geniuses. Their pistols do cannon damage, and their cannons do pistol damage. So that's nice. They got to be big. Anyway, I'm looking forward to it. Whenever we get the ogre refresh, that will surely be here anytime between 1 year ago and the Heat Death of the Universe, 5th edition.
It's just right around the corner. Always the next army.
Yeah.
You know,
they're having a pool party with the silent ones and the bug people and the
vampires,
shadow dragon, Malarian elves. Yeah.
Yep. So here's my question. We've talked before. This is a completely separate discussion, but we've talked before about how ogres need a better identity. So they're not just like not green orcs, basically, right? How all of destruction needs to work on its like identity, because the problem is like classification, hierarchical separation point number 1 for all of destruction is they're stupid. They're dumb.
Phrase we can't, because we talked about the problem with destruction 2-3 times ago when I came on the show, and I think I stole your term, which was the theme of every destruction army is stupid brutes.
Yep, exactly.
And it's as shallow as a kiddie pool.
Yep.
And they aren't even necessarily exploring it very thoroughly either as a concept. We need something there.
I think it would be fun
to touch on what you said. Ogres had an identity, and then they created a brand new army and put it in the game that was just the ogres' identity crystallized into a diamond.
Sure.
And that was Sons of Behemoth. Because ogres were just big. Like, okay, they're big, they eat people. They hit hard, but not particularly well. And just conceptually, all the big stuff and slow hitting and high damage and things like that. Not high damage in real life or even in play, but
conceptually,
the feeling of this should be high damage, or something. Like that. And big capturing, capturing was our thing in late 2nd, and then 3rd and stuff, and so we double need to invent a new thing for ogres first, because it is still a fantasy army, and we don't have many of those left.
Agreed.
Just pure fantasy without any real bells or whistles, or let's make up something new and then add it to Seraphon or whatever. And AOS isn't really just the continent of Europe with a circle around one area.
Sure.
And then a Lord of the Rings race, and you just duct tape them together with nothing else, right? That's fantasy. And people might right now think that I'm talking down about fantasy, and I am, but not from a high horse, from an equally bad place, okay?
Come here.
I think it would be
a good identity. Because the AOS version is we'll take 6 cultures and throw them in a
just kind of
bag
blend them together. Speaking of soup, that's the real soup, the identity soup. Here we go.
50 pounds.
Look at OBR, right?
50-pounder.
Dog on cam. Cam.
She's been much better recently. She came back from her boot camp, from her training.
She got one of those endless jawbreakers.
Yeah, exactly. For her, it is. Yes, we got them these rubber tennis balls, and she loves them because they squish.
And she can't pull the fur off of it and shred it and eat it.
I think a good identity for them would be if they were actually smart. Okay, like
are we talking about golden retrievers?
No. Yes, that's just it.
They are
Like,
actually smart.
there is no reason why
In
the ogres
lore,
couldn't
they
be
kind
smart.
of are too. There's some precedent for that in the lore, right?
The lore.
Remember the Fist of Gork. What's his name?
Gordrak.
Gordrak, the Fist of Gork. He had the giant Wa. It was a big campaign thing before it was swept under the rug and completely ignored forever, and not really even completed.
Sure. Yeah. We all remember.
In his giant Wa that collected all of the different disparate destruction factions under his banner, just about.
Yep.
The ogres were the ones that kept getting the upper hand because they would cause the other ones to fight amongst each other on purpose because they thought it was funny by outsmarting them. And so, yeah, they have a low cunning or something, I think is what the text calls it.
It's always that. But see, I don't want that. I actually just want smart ogres. Like, maybe the ones from Heish
Isn't that
take
more
over.
terrifying in a certain way if they're supposed to be the man-eaters?
Especially if they weren't smart, like, all the time. And I don't mean that in any kind of stupid way.
It's the change. It's the sudden lean forward that's scary. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they're smart, but slowly, like, their hunger overtakes them, and it's like it pulls them away. Like, look, you're not yourself when you're hungry. We've all been there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a vampire. Vampires are really smart, but they're crazy when they're hungry, and they're just like a beast then, you know?
Right. But that's not anything in the vampire lore of AOS. So use it for ogres. Like, have it be that. It would be actually Cygnus, I agree with you completely. 100% correct. Like, I think it would be great if they were smart. Like, why do they still have these big cool cannons and all of this stuff? Like, yeah, just have them be actually smart. But like, over time, they kind of like they give into their hunger. But once they satiate it, you know, they're like they're able to then think clearly. Yes. Yeah. So I just think that'd be a way cooler story for them. And it would allow them, like, give them some cool technology for sure. Like, actual make black powder be something they really advance into making cool versions of things. That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, the leaders of the ogre society, they're just playing Civilization for Sid Meier, right? And so they're just going to choose the biggest cannon tech upgrade every time and not so much the public transport, you know?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Sewers or bigger cannon? We're going to go for bigger cannon. Okay. So, yeah, I understand there's some vampires who turn into Vargeist or other monsters because they become ravenous. I'm saying it's not like your normal vampires don't just like lose intelligence when they haven't drank blood for a little while. Okay. We could make it more extreme. That's my point. It's not at the forefront of like Manfred. You don't read a story where Manfred's a central character and he's running around like an idiot because he hasn't drank any blood in 2 days or something.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes he's doing the first part, but not because of the second part.
He's an idiot because he's an idiot. All right.
I'll tell you what they won't do, and also what they shouldn't do is, what if they were just big Mongolians again? And that's it. So it's kind of nice. I'm looking forward to moving on. Something a little more interesting. Keep the mustaches, though. Those are good. Don't forget your history.
Will the new sculpts have the mustaches? What time will tell?
The stashes. I think it's too iconic.
It is. The move from like their original weird color, like blue-black skin, that sort of like gray-blue, into the into just like they just look like people. They're just people.
Swarthy people.
Standard human United Colors of Benetton type of people. It's like, that's less interesting. I don't know why they were gray. It was just cool. Okay. Neil Lucas said, just want to quickly say that my cards for Death Wizards arrived today, and I'm starting a campaign with my nephew on the weekend. Thanks for creating such a great game. Hey, Neil. Thank you. I appreciate that. And for anybody else interested in picking up any of our games, including the new game, Repent, Ye Foolish Gods, which comes out June 5th. You can follow the links down below. There you go.
The game's pretty good.
Yeah, Haywo knows a great deal about it. He was his name will appear in the book. He was one of our secret badgers for the testing of Repent.
Yeah, we were part of Meal Team 6, the secret testers.
That's right. All right. Let's keep going. Next up, we got a surprise announcement today. Warhammer is going to start doing pre-painted terrain. What?
Wow.
And like, I just grabbed a random screenshot from the video. Legitimately, it does not look bad. It looks pretty good. Like if you can see what I grabbed on screen here, there's little screens on it, and there's like little lines on the screens. That's pretty good detail. That's frankly more detail than most people would put onto their actual terrain. Like, so, okay. It's like a whole table. I assume you buy like a table of terrain or something like that. Pre-painted starter set, like pre-painted starter set of terrain. SJ said pre-painted entire starter sets coming next. I don't know, man. I think that'd be the death of the company if they ever sold like pre-painted miniatures. Let me say that. Worst choice. Do not do it. But apparently it's not actually like paint. It's somehow to do with like the resin and tinting the resin or something like that as it's printed. I don't know the process, but it's not actually, no human is actually painting it from what I understand.
It probably makes the injection molding way more complicated, but you don't need an entire factory assembly line of like spray paints and everything, and so probably ends up being cheaper in the long
run. But hey, I mean, legitimately, it's probably better than what's on most people's tables. So
yeah, even at stores, I've been to stores.
Yeah.
Some of the terrain in them is older than me.
Yep. Doc King said it's like printed into the mold and then they fill it with resin. Huh.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Like an old stamp.
I think for the terrain thing, it's not bad. I like painting terrain, and Aiden says as much in the video. He's like, I like painting terrain, but I didn't paint any of this. It's all pre-painted, and so blah blah blah. Like, okay, cool. I mean, nothing's stopping you from painting over it if you want. Like, you can still do that. Turns out you can just prime anything and paint it. You can do that. It's fine. But anyways, that's crazy. So, all right. And then lastly, of course, we're not talking about it. Now, I doubt the Cities of Sigmar are going pre-order next week, so we could talk about it next week. I doubt we're going to be able to talk about it next week. I have to travel next week. When I'm going to do the show next week is completely up in the air. We will talk about Cities, I promise. But it will probably be delayed a week. I'm sorry in advance. And even then, that's going to be a real fun day because I'm traveling that day too. But anywho, my life is a nightmare. So, but great. There we go. So so we're going to get some city stuff. That's cool. And somebody asked me at the top, did the leak about like the cities having allies inform my want to do the show? No, it did not. I suggested 2 ideas to Halo over the weekend and was like, well, let's do, we both kind of agreed, like, let's do this one. This seems more interesting for actual discussion. And then that leak came out, which I know nothing about, of course. What leak? I didn't see any leaks. I don't know what you're talking about. So there you go. But cool. All right. That's the news. Very clear the elves and dwarves are gone. Oh, I'm sure, man. That's probably true. I didn't see.
It's sad.
It is
sad.
Agreed.
They had something cool with that. And maybe it's just because everyone borrows so much from Tolkien, but it seems like, and I'm sure there's a counterexample somewhere, but growing up, every fantasy novel series, book series, game series, movie, whatever, right? I'm just so tired of the dwarves hate the elves. Just every time, like, nobody gets along, because you have to have a plot, right? It can't be just everybody's holding hands, like there's no lawyers in The Simpsons or something like that. But I'm just saying, it was so refreshing in AOS to note that all the races had to work together and just pick the best that each one could do, right? Oh, the dwarves have the best armor or whatever, and the humans have the best, industry or something, and the elves have, so I don't know what elves do, dance, sing.
The best dancing and singing for sure.
Anyway,
it's very important. Got to keep morale up.
Chaos won, and they were a candle in the darkness, you know, and they just had to. They were forced to work together and use everybody's strengths for once, instead of the dwarves hate the elves because of some shit that happened 1,200 years ago, right?
Right.
And that's fine, and I like that, and I like Lord of the Rings and all the rest. But it was nice to have, for once, something be different. And then we're like, no, let's.
Nah, I gotta get rid of that. Why would we want that?
Yeah.
This is just the humans. Boo and boring. All right.
Well, dwarves built the engine though, so they got that going for them.
It's true. That is true.
That's nice.
Let's talk about some pick of the week. Hey, what would you like to share with everybody? What would you like to direct everybody to?
Well, I got a message from somebody that I shouted out last year, almost to the day.
Okay.
And they're like, hey, the last time you shouted us out, it went really well. And, you know, we're doing a tournament, and can you do it again? And I'm like, man, I'm not scheduled to be on Warhammer Weekly. So maybe I'll just forward it to Vince and see what he says, you know. And so last week you shouted out them. And then one day ago, you're like, hey, you want to be on the show? So I'm doing the same one again because it's mine, and that's fair. And it is, as I scroll to it, Summergeddon 2026. Age of Sigmar, 8-man teams. That's 8. 2 to the power of 4. If you went to American public school, okay? They got tons of teams. It's in Springfield, if I IRC correctly. They got a website. And you can check the link to that website on last week's show in the description, or also this week's show now.
Yes, I'll put it in the description.
As you're listening to this.
Yep.
They have other things besides AOS. Check all those out too. And it should be a fun time. I will not be there.
All right.
I'm trying to recede into the shadow.
Into the darkness. Yeah, sure.
As I said that, yeah.
Right on. All right. My pick of the week is going to be for our good friends over at Square Based, a Warhammer Fantasy in the Old World. The Old World show. You know, obviously Honest Wargamer, Rob. He put up a video that as soon as it came up, I got to admit, I watched. I was like, I'm interested. Talk to me about this. And it's a tough conversation that needs to happen. Has Games Workshop given up on the Old World? Oh, what a fat. So like, I love that in every game, no matter what it is, has GW abandoned this thing is always the discussion. Okay. We just had the sort of big Cathay thing not that long ago, but we're like, nope, nothing else is happening. No other news announced. It's dead. Write it off. So
dead game.
Dead game. But it was a good conversation. So Rob and Val at it as always. I enjoyed it. Let me also shout out some super chats. First up from Hades with the super chat, who said they got replaced with Fire Slayers and LRL. They have War Scrolls in the new book. I do still feel sad about losing innate soup from the lore, but GW is GW. Yes, this is both true and sad, because like it was neat that those things had like a difference to them, that it wasn't just like, oh, these other stuff. It was like the elves who live in the cities, but sure, it's fine. It's better than nothing. And then Big Jacket Dakota with the super chat saying, happy to finally see a live stream. What would you guys like to see for the next Molder unit for Skaven and any for Lizardmen? Love the show. Oh, well, I can take the Skaven half of this one for sure. Hey, we'll let you go for see if you have a Lizardman thought. I know it's not your army, but maybe you've got a Lizardman thing you want to see. We did do a whole show on this, by the way, recently, Big Jacket, so check it out. We talked about expansion forces for Molder. Okay. Well, Molder is like the flesh warping manipulation thing, right? So I would legitimately like to see a new Hell Pit Abomination sculpt. That's not a new model. I just like to see the old sculpt be thrown into the sun and yeeted away because it's really ugly, and get a new one of those. But if I had to actually say like what I want to see as far as like interesting things, Mulder used to have like giant rats. They don't really have those anymore. You got like your Retogers and stuff like that. But I liked the space that took up in Mulder, like having a small, weird, mutated creature. So we have Retogers. I would like to see Retoblins. Okay. So I want to see little rat goblins, and I want them to be tiny little dudes who can like run around, and they probably like strap bombs to them or something. You know, everything is just an excuse to strap a bomb to it. But I think that'd be really fun. So Retoblins, that's my answer. Hey, whoa.
Reterrafon.
Yeah.
But that's just a skink, let's be honest. So
Sure.
the thing I find interesting about Seraphon is how Protoss they are becoming. And I don't like lizard men at all. And I'm not really the kind of autistic that likes dinosaurs, really, even. Just not for me.
Sure.
And so the more Protoss we get in Seraphon, the happier I am. However, I don't own the army or collect it. So they shouldn't be listening to me about that army.
I mean, I think that basically, like, you know, one of the things we said on the show for Seraphon is like, there's a lot more dinosaurs. Just like, do those. Just do more dinosaurs.
Yeah. The Raptor, Stega, I guess mid-sized T-Rex-ish, I guess, for the mounted ones.
Little Indoraptor or something. I don't know. Like, can we get Chris Pratt in there? Is there a if this was
Indoraptor from the 70s? He was cool.
If this was Games Workshop of old, they would absolutely make a new skink handler who partnered with like the little Raptordons or whatever, and the special character would be named like K apostrophe HRS and then like PR apostrophe ATT or something like that. That they would do that. Okay. Like, or they'd combine whatever his character's name was. Who knows? Because it doesn't matter. But
you know, the thing that killed Newman with his shaving cream. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
It's bitter.
So I think that would be great. Obviously, the other thing is make the actual spaceships stop being stop being cowards. Gray Boy with the super chat, the perfect subject after the cities leaks. Yes, it is well aligned. I know that is completely accidental, but I'm glad about it nonetheless. There you go. Doing crimes, Johnson. Karith Parached. Yeah, exactly. There you go. Perfect. Yes. That would be the Games Workshop of old that has a sense of humor would have released that. Absolutely. Okay. All right.
And it would be like a hero option, but not legendary.
Right. Sure.
Or not unique.
I do long for the days when we could just have some silliness in there. Not a ton of it. There's a line, but like I like some silliness. Okay. Let's talk about some hobby time. I have been working on a bunch of stuff you'll see in videos, but specifically what I've been doing in my downtime is working on finishing up this girl. She's almost done now. So this is this bust from Heroes versus Horrors. And yeah, she's coming down to the end. Need to do some horns, do some stuff over here on the little scabbard, but other than that, she's pretty good to go. So we got this is going to end up being a video as well, probably dealing with like white hair and how to paint realistic white hair. So there you go. Or gray hair or whatever. So yeah, that's that. I got a lot of things on the desk that are coming up, but that's what I'm working on for my own personal fun. What about you, buddy? We got any hobby in recently?
Yeah, I've been making a display board, except it, instead of being a platform and then everything goes on it, it's got 4 walls and a ceiling, and it's my new place that I just moved into, and so I've been decorating it. Waiting for soundproofing material to arrive. I got a green screen stuff. Got a bookshelf back there, which you cannot see, because what I don't have back there is a light. Or rather here, because when you're streaming, light's supposed to come that way. But anyway, working on it, waiting for a bunch of things to arrive via the mail. Everything takes forever.
Sure.
Been about a month, but I'm just about finally moved in here, ready to begin streaming and everything again. Now that everything's all hooked up, and basically just waiting on a light and some acoustic dampening. Yonder.
I think you should get just like 2 of those little clicky, like the streamer lights, you know, just like that you just like click on the
The
LEDs.
ring lights, you mean?
No. Just like the little handheld ones. You use them for like, setting up a background lighting or a rim light or something like that behind you. But it's like small. They're like this big. I think you should just get like 2 of those and just put them in random places in the background on the lowest setting. So it just looks like there's just 2 small areas of glow behind you. And other than that, darkness. That's
and
it.
just cover it in like really thin red tissue paper.
Right.
And so we get a little ambiance of the wizard tower of red, fulmination happening in the background.
Exactly.
Also, I talk about Gramps a lot, and people know this on Discord. But I believe he's 97 at this point, as of April. And
this is your actual grandfather? You have a grandfather who's still alive?
Grandfather.
Wow.
He called me at midnight 2 days ago. And I'm like, this might be a problem,
Sure.
Like, this guy's 97. They go to bed at like 4,
Yeah.
And then they get up at 4. I don't know what happens. And because I answer the phone, and he's like, hey, well, I was thinking about that new place you got. You got to get a fake plant. You got to get a fake plant. It's going to tie the room together.
Sure.
I'm like, perfect. You are right. So I bought a fake plant, and it's right back there, but you can't see it because of the light.
But it's there. It's back there, not creating oxygen.
No. But I will have to dust it. So,
that's true. Fake plants, you got to dust fake plants, yes.
Look, in our various hobbies, at the end of the day, they could be summarized in creating things to dust later.
This is why a good airtight case is so important. You can never stop dust completely, but you can minimize it.
Yeah. I'll put the fake plant in a glass case. So
there you
I
go.
Have to dust it.
Boom. Solved it. It doesn't need the air. Easy.
Yeah. It doesn't need the air, and it doesn't recycle air. And now the illusion of it even maybe doing that from afar is gone. So there's no illusions.
I love it. Okay. Well, shall we talk about some allies and soup? Speaking of your grandpa, who probably loves soup, I bet. I mean, older people do love soup.
Oh, he likes beef barley soup.
Okay.
His mom always made it for him, and he taught me the recipe, and that's what I put in the freezer.
There you go.
And besides that, and he can't make it, so sometimes I make it and drive it down and give him a big thing for his fridge.
Okay.
Aside from that, he learned how to cook bacon. He never prepared any meals for 60 years because he was married.
Sure.
And was born in like 1920 something.
Sure.
So he's like, hey, I learned how to cook bacon. This is great. I'm going to have it every morning. And it's been like 4 years, and man just makes bacon and eats it. And that's breakfast every day.
Good for him. Good for him. Living the dream. If you're at that age, what do you do? Just go nuts. Go ham.
Well, was my lifespan shortened? I'm not going to make triple digits.
Yeah, get into it. Get into any wild thing. It's fine. Yeah. Like what are you doing at that point in your life if you're not eat whatever the heck you want that you can, man. Go nuts. That's what I say. Absolutely. Good on him. All right. I haven't had a grandparent alive for like more than 25 years. So it's been a long time.
That's probably normal-ish.
Yeah, sure. Well, my grandparents were all really, really old. Because the generations of my family were like really, really long. Everybody waited until like their late 30s to have kids, even back then. So as a result, my grandparents were all born in like the 1900s and early teens. So
yeah,
their chances of surviving into the 21st century was not great. There you
They
go.
weren't going to hit all 3 centuries.
Not pulling that off. No, they weren't the old 1899 to 2001 kind of situation. Yeah.
That was my aunt Ani. She made it. Was born in 1898 and died, I want to say, in 2000, late
Amazing.
2000.
She got there. She lived the dream.
She watched the entirety of Plane Flight. Like from when it didn't happen.
Yeah, sure.
Until it did.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's crazy. The amount of change.
Like,
yes.
You remember when Twitter came out? You remember when they invented Twitter?
Sure.
And probably if you're anything like me, you're like, oh, I can't wait for this fad to die, because you had been watching fads like it die for the past decade, right? And then it didn't. That might have been her with planes. She sees this plane, and she's like, oh, I wonder if that'll take off. And then, like, 50 years later, they land on the moon.
Real journey. Yeah. From no electricity to cell phones. Yes, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
And then 25 years after that, still just cell phones, except more expensive, I guess.
Just different cell phones. Yeah. Exactly. We kind of got stuck on the cell phone thing. We peaked.
We got stuck on it. Yeah.
I guess we got drones. So there you go. All right. Let's talk about mixing armies. All right. Time stamping. Okay, cool. Boop, allies and AOS. Let's talk about it.
Oh, armies. I wrote a thing.
Oh, yeah. Before I go. Yes, I'm sorry. I apologize. Before I go.
Don't worry. Every time I get on the show, I got to write a thing. This one's pretty short because I was under time constraints. Apologies.
By all means. Hey, well, take it away. I apologize.
Let me queue up. I got a saxophone section that I'm queuing up here. And standing bass. All right, there we go. Ahem. It was a dark and stormy night in the Wizard Tower. Hard rain beat at the window, but only the buzzing light from a street lamp could get in. The blinds cast bars over my desk. Coffee-stained files, snub-nosed 45, marb red left to ember in the tray. Mind in danger of slipping back to that one cold night on the bridge. The smell of gunpowder, blood on the snow. The phone rang. It was Vincey V, old mechanic from back in the day. Game mechanic. Wanted to talk shop. Something about allies. I could hear the hesitation in his voice. He knew my story. Knew what allies cost me. And he knew that I knew that he knew, which means it must be serious. Allies always are serious. Grab my old brim from the coat rack, brown trench, check the pockets for that jingle of keys. Hallway carpets as thin as my patience. Light up and leave my thoughts at the door. Allies, huh? You think they're on your side till they ain't.
Love it. Yes. That is really good. And I am a huge film noir fan. I've exposed my wife to basically the entirety of the sort of film noir movement.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. There's a bunch of my favorite movies. I love the whole period in Hollywood. And I also love the snappiness of a lot of the dialogue from some of them. It sort of overlaps with the period of just filmmaking.
Sentences being so terse.
Yes.
The dialogue is so good. It's cliche and campy, kind of proudly, I guess, at this point. But that's the fun of it. I'm reminded this wasn't the noir, but it's an example of the type of dialogue that we're talking about. I think it was a Clint Eastwood. And to me, it's the best character introduction that could be written into a script. If we're talking about elegance, and somebody's asking him questions, Eastwood, and they're like, so, what was your childhood like? Short. That's it. It's perfect.
Perfect. It's so good. Yes. That is
you
a real baby shoes for sale, never worn type of response there. Yes, absolutely.
have you seen The Big Combo?
No.
I would, as a lover of noir,
Okay.
I would watch The Big Combo.
I'll check it out. I'll add it to my list.
You know, story characters, it's not one of the greats, but it has, if you're a cinematography guy, close to the end, one of the all-time great cinema scenes, in my
Okay.
opinion.
Very nice. I'll check it out. I will watch for that scene. Are we talking like just like the setup of the shot? Is it like an impressive oneer before oneers were a thing? Like what are we dealing with here?
It's the whole situation.
Got it. Just like the business and the blocking is really
Like,
solid in the way it's
you'll
shot.
know, and
Okay.
it's the whole they thought of it. You watch the scene and you're like, the person thought of this scene and then they made the whole movie
Gotcha.
so that they could do this
Okay.
as an excuse, you know.
Okay. Very good.
I don't watch The Big Combo, I order it. Super size. Yeah, true.
That's right. Dummy Trades with a super chat. Is it better to try oh, I see. I think you're trying to say airbrush, brush, hair, or glaze with transitions. I'm not sure what you mean. Do you mean like layer transitions versus glaze transitions, or airbrush versus? I'm not sure what you mean. I'll try to answer it in all of the regards. So it depends on the size and the space. Like glazes are generally the end of every road when you're trying to smooth things. But that being said, some good old-fashioned wet blending or something like that to start out can be a good method. That takes a big brush, just classic traditional stuff. If you've got enough space, an airbrush and a thin glaze will really get you basically most of the way. So there you go. That's my response. Hopefully I answered your question. If not, just drop back in an extra thing and I'll respond to it. Okay. Yes, indeed. I called him up, and fortunately, he was ready to go. Oh, there you go. We got the single light in the background. I like it. Perfect. Okay. Little firefly there. So let's go talk about an overview here. All right. Here is my I think you'll agree with me on this, but let me set up my baseline. Okay. Number 1. Oh, dry brush or glaze. Maybe that's what he means. Generally probably glazing in most cases. Oh, like a dry brush. Okay. You can dry brush to smooth transitions, but it's a little more difficult and you need a little more working space. If it's a bigger area, yeah, you can get away with it. And if you use very, very, very little paint. If you watch my dry brushing video, I actually show you how to glaze with a dry brush. It is a tricky technique, but it is very, very, very effective if you can pull it off. It requires a lot of like back and forth work, but it's fast and relatively low stress. But the trick is you need to be having enough space to like work the brush. If you're trying to do like small detailed areas like a Cities of Sigmar figure, it's nonsense on bejangles on nonsense. You're just not gonna be able to get away with it. Okay, now hopefully I answered your question. All right, armies need to be able to stand on their own. If a force ever requires allies or soup, it's a bad army. That's it. Like, you should be able to make not one, not two, multiple versions of an army using no other force and have those be compelling, fun armies. Right?
Can we stop along the way on these?
Sure, absolutely, please.
Because you could say, if we're trying to defend allying, right?
Sure. We want to steel man the case.
One of the ways that allies can be good is they're a fixer, they're a problem solver.
Mm-hmm.
You got a leaky hole in your army, like you don't have any ranged, or you don't have any defense against ranged, right? And so you can ally something in to fix that army's problem.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
This is, however, bad.
I agree.
It feels good as a player to be able to do that, but players are a lot like children, and you don't want to give them ice cream for dinner, even though they will really enjoy it because they'll get a tummy ache, which is kind of like using cheat codes in a game. You get bored of it after a while.
Yep.
Armies having downsides and weaknesses is good, actually, and interesting. And not doing so really homogenizes everything, and I don't know that we want homogeneity in something like this. Anyway, so in other words, I agree.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's good.
Um,
I'm going to go a step farther. I'll say if
Mhm.
allies are the most competitive way to build, competitive, so I'm making a different statement here, right, than the first one,
yeah.
then it's a failure. Okay? Like the actual competitive, if that's what you're concerned with, which is not my primary concern with most armies. But if that is your concern, the most competitive way should never be requiring some other army's troops in the middle of it. Never.
Yeah, because that's the double feel bad that I talked about before with
Yep.
allies is the, what is it? Grimghast Reapers. Remember those?
Sure.
When Nighthaunt came out, they had a unit called Grimghast Reapers, and they were pretty good, this unit. In Nighthaunt. They were pretty good. In the Nagash army, however, they were very good.
Sure.
And so you had a double feels bad where it doesn't necessarily feel good for your ogre army to only be good because of the fire slayers you're allying in. And conversely, it doesn't feel good to be fire slayers and have your best unit be way better in somebody else's army than the home, than the one that was made for, And so this is kind of bad all around.
Yep. And we've seen this multiple times, even recently. The whole Cities of Sigmar gang of weirdos that would walk around and join everybody else's army where they were better outside of their own force.
Yeah. But I don't think you have to choose, probably. And they're both bad options. What do you want? Do you want the allies to suck? Then why make them? It's like, hey, you can, in 4th edition, when you're building your army, you don't have to add guys to your hero's regiment, right? You can just take stuff. Your opponent gets command points, and you lose the game instantly. But you could do it,
But you could do it.
But no one does because you'll lose. So it's like either you have allies suck and then no one takes them and why did you make them, or allies are good and by the nature of allies they go in everything and sometimes outshine other people's stuff. So what do? Perfect balance? Cool. Good idea. Perfect balance, yeah. Or what? Like what's the lesser of the three evils, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know that I have the perfect answer for that. I don't know that we are going to even get to one by the end of the show. I mean, that's part of what I want to see, but it's tough, right? Like, because on the flip side of this, allies and regiments of renown and the whole concept, it makes sense, right? Like both in game and in the world.
Well,
it makes sense that you should be able to bring other stuff in. Of course, sometimes people will fight together.
I thought you were doing it makes sense for the company because if more people bought this unit because more people could put it in their army? That makes sense. That's money. And also maybe there's a secondary free sample effect where you try out some Skaven in your Cities of Sigmar and you like Skaven, now you buy Skaven.
Right.
Well, okay, free sample effect, but with a genius upgrade, it's not free. It's actually very expensive. But it's still the effect, So anyway, those are two reasons why we will always have allies.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like there's sort of a company incentive here, right? That like, oh, if we can sell you part of another army that you never would have bought otherwise, that's fine.
That's not sinister, by the way. It could be. If I phrased it differently, this could be a GW dying ? Thumbnail kind of point.
Sure.
Like company bad. They're trying to sell you the Corn Dragon, or whatever, the Kron Spine.
Oh my god.
And they don't care about anything else. But the concept of allies doesn't have to be bad like that.
Right. Ideally, you want to let people build more interesting forces. You want to allow them to tell like a sort of narrative story that they want to tell. It makes sense in the world. A lot of the stories that actually happen in world are about multiple armies coming together. Like this happens all the time.
Story.
Yeah.
Does that.
Yep.
Which is not surprising either. But yeah, like just about every story or blurb in every AOS book that talks about anything always talks about at least fighting some other army, but very often surprising allies temporarily with some other army. It happens all the time.
Absolutely. On the Dawnbringer Crusade story, the last like big major arc we got at the end of the last edition, the City of Sigmar were teaming up with like everybody, right? Like just everybody they could who they could get to join in with them. They would be like, yeah, sure, you're on the team. Let's go, you know? So obviously they had lots of enemies as well and people in the middle, but it's like, okay, obviously in this broader world, you would have forces allying and working together with each other. Cause that's how the world works when you're dealing with like wars and stuff. Like people ally, people break alliances and so on and so forth. Okay. Now at the same time, I am going to, when we'll talk about all of these will get broken out kind of into deeper discussions. And some of you in the chat, I'm watching, some of you are talking about things that I am going to hit on deeper, but like allies simply make more sense with some armies than others, as that's the way they would naturally be constructed or the role they would naturally fill. In other words, this army is more likely to have allies to like be a big tent that welcomes everybody in, or conversely, this army is more likely to just like be an ally for other people because they're quite mercenary by nature or naturally sell their services or just are very distributed around throughout the realms and just kind of get in everybody's business or whatever. Right.
Yeah, that's ogres. that's ogres and fire slayers are the first two.
Right.
Are the most what is it?
Sort of the most mercenary.
Yeah, they actually just are, not so much Beast Claw, but Fire Slayers have worked for Chaos before.
Sure.
Ogres have in the same week worked for Cities of Sigmar and Chaos.
Right.
Give me the meat, and then sometimes even if they pay you, maybe we'll just double cross you, but it's very, very much in the lore.
Yeah.
Them. And remember way back when different armies could ally in different specific things, 2nd edition, 1st edition?
Oh, yes.
Look in the book. And everybody could ally with basically everybody else, but everybody hated Skaven. Even in Chaos, nobody could ally Skaven stuff because they learned. They're noticers on that one.
What a perfect segue into ally systems.
We've already did that. So a lot of talking about GW rules and what we should do to fix systems. I've found a lot of talk about it is like, hey, they had a pretty decent idea to fix that exact problem 6 years ago. And then they stumbled their way into the same exact problem again.
Yep.
That happens a lot. Not saying it was a great system, but it's better than this one.
One of the things, yes, roll for Hobby, you're right. Nurgle could get the Nurgle Pestilence stuff 100% because they were both on the team. That's right.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I can't wait for the new orc book for them to bring back the great rules they used to have and they forgot about.
Exactly.
They solved it already.
I do love, too, how every time something like that happens, they make the announcement like, it's back, smashing and bashing. The smashing and bashing you love is back. It's like, yeah, this isn't a cause for celebration. You took it away.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Why did you do that in the first
place?
And
that now you're saying like we're good guys because we brought back this thing that was obviously good and everybody loved. Yeah, no, you're not getting any credit for that. You've returned to a neutral state. Stop celebrating it like a marketing twist. I hate that.
It's a different thing for me to give you a TV with a bow tie on top of it.
Sure.
Versus me giving you a TV because I broke your TV.
Right.
Those are two different situations, very different. But in both of them, giving you a TV, it's kind of like that. It's like, here you go. We gave you this that we have previously took away. And then it's
look, I dry cleaned your shirt that I spilled a bunch of some drink on. Aren't you amazed at this super clean shirt?
Yeah.
I guess.
I had this old roommate in college living in a giant house with 1 million people, right? And there was this one roommate who was just like the worst person and would steal stuff from people and all sorts of other stuff. And
sure, we've all had him.
One time he asked to borrow my car, and so I let him because he was going to drive to a job interview. And when he came back, he said, "Oh, I noticed it was on empty, so I put a little gas in your car to help you out." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." And so I went into my car and checked the center console, and the $10 that I kept there just in case were gone. And so, oh, you put gas in my car by paying my own money to do. Okay. Kind of like that.
Full service situation. Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and this is one of my main problems. That's just it. Exactly what we've just been discussing. Over the course of AOS, we've had so many different systems for building allies or other armies' troops into our army, but never with any consistency. It's just like radically changed all the time. Like this is one of the most fluid parts of list building in AOS. And so the number of like units and things that I've retired, armies I've retired, because I built them under the conception of whatever it was at that time, that just like, that's it. Now that's gone completely. And that is not even close to legal or valid anymore, is just really annoying. And that's the other problem I have with this. Like even a good ally system, I don't want to paint these things because I think they're like, they have the shelf life of like cheese sitting out on the sidewalk in the sun. You know, it's just like, that's not going to last very long.
Well, that's why so many people are kind of gun shy about all these renown things, right? Am I going to make an army of renown? That is not going to live to 5th edition. If it does, it'll be a miracle. And so I'm just not. And I've heard that sentiment a lot, and I think that should be a concern. To hear the sentiment, oh yeah, you can make whatever they're called, armies of renown. And everyone is like, yeah, but it's probably temporary.
Right.
That's a chilling effect on purchasing your product. That's a concern. You have a reputation now that's all this stuff is too fleeting, you know?
Right.
It's fine if rules are fleeting. Smashing and bashing is really cool. Getting rid of it, I think, was a mistake. But the army exists. You paid your $60 for each box, or at a discount, perhaps. Fine. But your Army of the First Prince, what are you doing with that?
Yeah, is it still legal? In what form? Is it totally different now? Right? You know, like I had a whole city's army that was integrated with like KO because it was a Tempest Eye army, so it had like KO and Stormcast and all this stuff in it. That whole thing is obviously just now it sits over on a shelf. It's a cool like fun army that I did for a year. It was neat. And that was it.
Tempest's Eye, was that the one with KO that could move on turn 1?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
There was also a dwarf and tree people gang up one.
Yeah, there's like the living cities could bring like Sylvaneth or whatever in, and like that city's book was a lot of fun.
There's like a battalion specifically for something like dwarves and trees to be together. Like that's kind of a cool idea. But all this stuff is just like, hey, make an army, take one picture of it when you're done painting, and then next year.
Right.
And so if you're going to do something like this, it has to be able to stand the test of time.
And all of these are so fleeting, right? Like looking back in history, just like to give a sampling. Early AOS, you had soup everywhere, right? You could make Grand Alliance armies. I know Adam's in the chat. He was always a big fan of that. He has a whole bunch of just like death stuff. He actually had an army. And then the next day, it didn't. He didn't.
No. All right. Against the grain.
Yep. Then we got to this more like firm ally system, certain armies. Eventually we had battle formations. We just talked about those with like the Age of Sigmar rules and so on. It was like, well, you can take 1 in 4, troops or whatever of this or something like that, right? And it allowed for some amount of flexibility. It was like a lever that can be pulled, right? It was like, oh, you can have this, but it can be this much more. You can have up to this much of your force or so on and so forth, right? Whatever. And then, and now we've moved to Regiments of Renown, which are completely locked packages. And like outside of a few, just don't see usage because 1, they're like very bad. 2, they take away all the fun. Like part of the fun of allies is you get to build in, or theoretically at least, is you get to build and say, this is the stuff that from this other army that I think is cool and I want to have in my force, right? Like if you can have like 1 in 4 or whatever, 500 points or something of KO. It's like, okay, well, I think the boat is cool, so I'm going to take a boat or whatever, right? But if it's like, no, you get like 10 of these little dorks on foot and 3 balloon boys and a hero guy. It's like, oh, well, I'm not interested in any of those. So I guess that sucks now. I'm not interested in that, right? You have to be interested in this exact, specific, no choice, no list building combination of stuff that just generally sucks. And we'll talk about that more in a moment. What's that? Yeah, exactly. It's the spearhead problem. And like, I get spearhead and why it's designed like it is for new players. I think it actually makes a lot of sense as an on-ramp for like people who you don't, when you're dealing with new players, you don't want to have them going through like the detailed work of like list building and all of that kind of stuff. You want a nice, simple, safe on-ramp. That's fun.
Am I brave enough to say yes, I do? And I'm tired of pretending I'm not.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like introducing to somebody to Magic through Commander. It's just like, welcome to the deep end, sink or swim.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't introduce them to it via Commander in any case, and it has nothing really to do with choice or deck building or anything. I just think it's generally a bad way to learn the game.
It's a lot of complexity.
Perhaps it's because I'm old and I learned the game in the dark, but
they should learn as we all did. Legacy.
I think you should try to attract your players.
Sure.
In such a way so that you're attracting the type of player that likes your game. Like if you are Palladium Rifts, you're Kevin Sambedia.
Yes.
Are you going to make a product and you're like, okay, well, we're going to market this thing to people who don't like customization or reading or options, you know, and are very serious about lawyer-like rule specificity, you know? No. Because when they like, probably the game probably isn't for them. Oh, here's a big war game. There's a lot of new war games coming out. They're all small. And there's a greater reason for that, but that's beside the point. It's a big war game where you have list building. That's the draw. And so we're going to on-ramp people by showing them a skirmish version with no choices. And so if they like a skirmish version with no choices, damn, are you going to like a bigger one with different everything and choices? Maybe.
I would say there'd be a real jump, but given the fact that there's so little choice even in normal army building these days, I'm not sure the jump is that far anymore, to be fair.
Yeah, or am I putting on tin foil? Or are we moving in less choice direction? Wouldn't it be nice as a company if you could just sell a giant box for $900 and that's an army?
There you go. Buy your $1,000 army.
All these children and whiners just crying online about this unit isn't balanced, that unit isn't balanced. Just buy the box. Play everything in it.
There you go. If only. Gray Boy with a super chat. My friends just got me back to Magic, or back to playing Magic via Commander. There's an important word there, though, Gray Boy. Why I think that's perfect. Back. Yes. Back. Also, I got my whole like D&D group back into Magic through Commander, but they had all played Magic before, and so it was like, okay, you basically know the rules. This is the small differences. Here you go. That's fine.
Yeah. That's not to say that I don't like Commander. I do. I think it's probably the best way to play Magic. But I just think as a learning vehicle, it's a rough one. And it gives you weird ideas, you know?
Sure.
It's like growing up with 17 dads. Like you're gonna be surprised when you get to normal society in certain ways.
Sure. You know? It's obviously the perfect form of Magic, as we all know. That is vintage cube. Obviously, that is nature's perfect form of
Dan
the thing.
Gray Highlander.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. So, like right now, I had this on the previous page. I'm going to go back to it now. There are currently 64 right now, as of before Cities of Sigmar comes out. There are 64 regiments of renown. That's too many. That's like just too many. This cannot be the right way to go.
Yeah. Wait, did you say regiment of renown or army of renown?
Regiments of renown. 64 regiments of renown.
Point of order. Somebody changed that yesterday. Please.
The fact that both of those things are like use the same of renown just have
Both
a
of them
different
have
first
of
word.
renown. They're too close to each other. We got to change that. You changed mortal wounds.
You can do this.
You could do this. Also, you shouldn't have changed mortal wounds. But that's another thing. That's another thing too. Shouldn't have done that. But it's fine.
Yes. 64. And like maybe there's 3 of them that ever see play. Like they are on a hit right here with these that is worse than what they did with the magic items in the Arcane Journal or what, Malign Sorcery or whatever. There's like 10 playable out of 84 there. That's a better ratio.
Yeah, but they were really cool. And anyone could use them, much like allies could be really cool and anyone can use them. So okay. Everybody gets realm artifacts. Anyone can choose them. They're like colorless spells in Magic.
Sure.
They're like your mercenary choice in Diablo 2. Everybody gets a mercenary.
Absolutely.
Quickly, just real quick, in the chat room, if you're watching live, go ahead and type it. You play Diablo 2? What mercenary do you use out of the 4 possible choices? What act? It's act
you don't have
2.
to remember their names because that might be a little difficult. But yes, which act?
I think
which
they're called
mercenary?
Desert Warriors or something like that. It's act 2. Everyone uses act 2.
Sure.
And I mean everyone. And you got an insight if you're poor, and you have an infinity if you're rich, or maybe a Reaper's Toll if you're melee, but being melee is the same thing as being poor. And so here's another ally system where everybody uses the same thing. And that's a little sad because there's 4 of them, you know? The Act 3 mercenary, geez. Thing was born dead. Yeah, always Act 2. I'm seeing here we go. Iron Wolf, that's it. I couldn't remember the normal name of it. Played Diablo 2 this morning. Based.
Absolutely based.
Anyway, so this is, I guess I'm jumping ahead now that I'm talking.
No, you're fine. Like, still though, even that, at least there's one that is playable out of the 4. Okay.
Yeah. It could be 0, and you just don't.
That's a 25% hit rate. We're currently at 3 of 64. I'm not even going to do that math. It's real bad.
Yeah. But the mercenary system is different because it's everyone gets a free dog.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Whereas allies in Warhammer, that cuts into your army. In the Diablo sense, it would cut into your class in some way. I don't know how you'd...
Yeah, you'd have to like... You spend you'd have to... Some of your skill tree would have to get dedicated to like buffing this dork that follows you around or something.
And if their one thing was OP, then everyone would be using the same skill, regardless of your character, and that's sad. It's already sad that everyone uses the same mercenary in some ephemeral sense. Like, oh, what if the barbarian one? It'd be nice if somebody used that guy. He can dual wield. You can give him a last wish. You know? You can give him a last wish. But when it cuts into your class, it's a lot worse. You could do the free dog thing. No, I don't want to jump ahead to solutions. We'll keep on the overview. I don't want to
we'll
de-wrangle this too much.
We'll wait on solutions. We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about variants. I want to actually deep dive this point I just made about all of these. Like, not only are some of these just clearly useless because they're like non-reinforced units with no role or purpose and no army rules to support them. And like, what is the point of this? Like, obviously they have whatever the Regiment of Renown rules are that are like, they get to do some minor little trick from their army. Okay. But like, I just grabbed a little screenshot here. Okay. From the death section, right? From the Death Grand Alliance section. Okay. And what I want to draw your attention to is a couple of these that are in here. Like, for example, the Beast of Castle Sterneast, 1 Revenant Dracoth. And you might say, that's cool. I actually could defend that one because it's like, okay, neat. It's a cool looking monster. And like, if you really like the big monster, but you're not playing in one of the factions that can take the cool big monster, and maybe you're in like Nighthaunt that doesn't have any cool big monsters, maybe you just want to put a cool big monster in your force. And it's like 190 points. So like, okay, that's dumb. But at the same time, like, whatever, almost every army in the game has 200 points you can spend on a pet unit that really doesn't matter to your strategy. Like, a good player could take 1,800 points and beat any average player with 2,000, right? Like, it's basically
I have
the
a
case.
question. I have a question about what you just said before the
Sure.
thing that you just said.
Yes.
So the thing before the thing. This faction doesn't have any big centerpiece monsters, so maybe you want a big centerpiece monster, and so you take
Sure.
an ally. If a army doesn't have any big centerpiece model, that's a problem. Every army should. They sell the army. Alariel sold Sylvaneth to people for 6 years. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so if your army doesn't have a big, impressive centerpiece that sells the army as the face of it, then that's like code red. You need one of those. And so probably somebody in a suit looks at that and they're like, we got to get a centerpiece for this army because every army needs a centerpiece. So the people buy the army by looking at the cool centerpiece. It kind of sells it. Okay, well, that takes a while to make a big centerpiece. You got to come up with what it could be, and then you ship it off to sculptors and concept artists, and then you got to figure out how to do it. What's the runtime on that? 3 years? 4? Start to finish? For Big Oosh, how long from a guy in a suit said, "Give me a centerpiece for FEC," and then Big Oosh is on the shelf?
Yeah, the actual from ideation to you can buy the thing, I believe, is about 3 years.
Okay.
2 to 3 years. It varies some.
And so what's the conversation? Is the conversation after that, but the guy in the suit says, "Get on it, make the Big Oosh, call him up, summon him here." In the meantime, we'll make an ally where you can ally in someone else's kind of big thing for 3 years, so that some people buy it, and then it goes away when you get your model or when the other thing comes out or a next edition, and then they just have this thing on their shelf they'll never use again, and that's fine. Is that the conversation? Or is this just separate from that entirely?
I think it's separate from that entirely. But, like, I think it's just they sometimes write these things because they think this is a cool model. People will probably want to take this model, so let's let more people take this model. But this is so insane to me. This the Beast of Castle Sterneast or whatever. Think about what this is. That's like a $200 kit. Because it's Prince Vorderai. It's his mount.
Yeah.
So you bought Prince Vorderai. You took the awesome vampire on top. You threw him in the trash. Get rid of him. He's Garbo. Don't need him anymore. Yep, that's out of here. And then you're making just this thing, which has pretty subpar rules, by the by, on his own. And you're painting him up just to put him in your other army because you really like this dragon. And then in, as we said, X amount of days, like a reasonable thing you could count in days, right? That will no longer be a legal choice. And now you have nothing. What is this?
Yeah.
Like, occasionally these things will have value if you're like missing a critical piece, like what you talked about before. Most often, I think this actually comes up not through like, well, we don't have shooting, so this gives us shooting. I don't think that's actually where it comes up, like those kind of hard limitations. I think it comes up more with like, well, I need a unit that's like slightly faster that can go grab gold or complete battle tactics. That's probably the most common way this comes up. So like the goblins that keep showing up in Sons of Batman lists, right? Because they can like be deployed around the table and, that kind of nonsense and move real sneakily like. And they're just like better at doing that when you only have 3 models on the table or whatever, right? Because you got your 3 megas. It's like, well, you just don't have a lot of options on a board with 6 objectives or something. It's stupid, right? So, okay.
Big Oosh was born in the marinara, dripping in sauce. Flummox Buffoon, is this a shawarma joke? Like King Ushwarmaran?
For he is the meatball. He is a big meatball. That is true. He's a big furry meatball.
War machine, shawarma machine. Never mind. We'll get into that later. I'm reading chat suddenly, and it's throwing me off.
So ZK, they've changed their process some. It used to be that like the leadership would tell the concept artists and modelers, this is what we want you to work on. The concept artists would go to work. They would render some art. It'd get digitized. The sculptors would then take it. The sculptors would have X amount of time based on the size of the sprue that's going to go on to then make that thing, sculpt that thing using the digital tools that they use. And then they'd have the similar amount of time on top to slice the thing. So the sculptors at GW do their own slicing. Slicing, it just means splitting it up so it fits onto the sprue. Okay. And then you go through cycles of that. There's actually a little secret thing that you can tell how many times how many times the model had to go back because the sprue didn't work and it failed. There's a little secret hint. I won't give it away. This is like the deep GW lore, but look at your sprue next time. Every sprue you've ever bought has a marker on it of how many times it's failed before they got to the final rev. Like you can tell the rev on every single sprue you've ever bought in a kit. At any rate, and then it would come over to rules.
That's why they're here. They're here for the deep lore.
Absolutely. Then it would come over to rules, and it'd be like, okay, like the old joke was they had a little one of those like dollies or whatever that would like lower the model down and just like bing, and the little door would open and it'd be like, what is this? And we just got to make rules out of this. They don't work like that anymore. They have a more like actual logical process now.
Oh, okay.
So,
because I was about to paint a dystopian picture, because somebody in chat was like, I want to be a game designer for GW, you know. I'm like, well, you're given what was that creature you were talking about on that slide?
The Dracoth, is that what you're talking about? Yeah, you're given the Dracoth. Yeah, sure.
You're handed a piece of paper that says Dracoth, skeletons, whatever. Make rules for this exact thing because we're selling it in a box. And the rules person probably doesn't decide what's in the box. A guy in a suit decides what's in the box. And then he's like, we're going to sell this. Make rules for it. This one right here, which is what they did for Spearhead for the most part. So like, without changing anything, make rules for this whole system.
Yes.
And all the boxes have already been decided. So there can't be any list building. Go. So you're even more of a problem solver than you thought you might be.
Yes. Now they have a little more logical process where like all the teams
creative.
are working together from the beginning and so on and so forth. So
okay, that's
nice.
Great to hear. That's good to hear. I can't wait till I start seeing that on my end.
Right. And that's just it, right? Like if they make a change at the let's say this, like I don't know exactly when that change took effect. I know it took effect, but that they've changed a lot of internal structure and stuff like that.
Everything's got a lead up time. You know.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be like 18 months to 2 years before you, the consumer, actually see any result of that process, right? So, yeah, because their time to market is just like so long. SJ Arcade said, "I can't seem to find a code on my pewter goblaba." I don't know if I don't think the pewter models had this particular thing. That's fair. I did say sprues, so the plastic sprue, but fair enough. Like. And then why are special characters in these? Why does Neferata run around with like 5 black knights and 2 groups of 10 skeletons? She doesn't even be like, hey, you two idiots, get together, be one unit, be useful.
We have to find the artifact. I've given you 40 men.
Yeah.
Plus Neferata and 2 horses. Like, oh, okay. Just her and 2 horses. 5. All right.
Yeah.
What's she doing here?
It's just like it's the most insane thing to me that in this list I grabbed, there are like of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And like I just grabbed a nice selection out of the middle of the death thing. Out of these 8, 3 of them have a special character in them. I did not do that originally intentionally. It just I realized it later on. I was like, that is outrageous. Now, side note, you don't run into the same problem in Destruction because they don't have special characters.
What's a special character?
Right.
In the year of our Lord current year, I still don't. Named heroes and ogres that aren't Warcry models. Well, look, we'll get them next time.
You mean Underworld's models?
Sorry, Underworld. Yeah.
Yes. Like a specific ogre in a cool jacket with a gun.
Like in the
looking like he walked out of a Shadowrun game.
Yeah. The pirate that every time somebody saw it for the first time, they thought he had a real big foot.
Yeah. Exactly. So just like the current variants of this, Jag1519 with a super chat. What's your dream ally soup rules? I'd really like to take Solar Auxilia as house infantry for Imperial Knights instead of kit bashing Navy breachers. Look, I will openly admit I don't know the 40k ally rules, but I actually understood all the words you just said. And like, I agree. This is like exactly the thing. Like this kind of stuff, like the way I've always painted my knights for the most part as though they're either like part of a specific army or part of a or dedicated to a chaos god, my Imperial Knights. And like that's just not how the game really wants you to do it, unless they're like a renegade. They decided to have these own stupid rules where it's houses and dumb crap like that. And like that should be fine, but the other armies should also just have these war machines. So like, but the my dream rules, we will talk about solutions at the end, but my dream rules are basically that we, number one, we pick a system and say, this will endure for more than 5 minutes, right? Like we just need to solve this equation. Yeah. It is ridiculous.
Rules can change, but models shouldn't.
Right.
Like even if it's maybe a problem, whatever models you're using, whatever boxes you bought, whatever thing like that, you should still keep that. But you can, the whole point of the rules even is that you're able to do that and it's not as big of a deal. Putting a rule on my shelf doesn't feel so bad. It does when it's like every rule in the transition from 3rd to 4th and my army couldn't do anything anymore. That sucks. But it feels worse to be like, oh, so I can't play half of this army anymore because it's just not supported. Period.
Right.
To say nothing of the rules just suck or whatever, right?
Like if I wanted this Neferata's Royal Echelon, which by the way is 760 points, that is wild. Okay. Like worth it or not, I don't care. That's just like so many points in an alleged like ally thing, right? Okay. So let's say I really like this idea. I think Neffy's like a super cool model. And I'm running, I don't know, let's call it Flesh Eater Courts. And I'm trying to do the army from the story in Dawnbringer Crusade where Neffy is hanging out with Big Oosh. Okay. And like has her forces there with him.
Yeah.
So I go out and I buy these expensive kits. So I had to buy Neffy, Black Knights, and both boxes of skeletons, right? Or 2 boxes of skeletons. And I paint them all up. I have my whole Flesh Eater Courts army, which is what I really love. I love Big Oosh. I love Flesh Eater Courts. I love the little story. I've dutifully like customized all of them added little pieces and parts that play into their delusion and stuff. And then the rules come out next time, and this specific regiment around is just obviously gone. Right? Just gone. Like a fart in the wind. Because of course it will be. Why would I think this specific rule would endure? This extra appendix. Right? And then it's like, well, what did I do? I spent a lot of money, and now I have nothing. I have like an absolutely nothing toward a Soulblight army. Great. Okay. Cool.
I think you just have to be really careful about setting precedents. Like a lot of things they seem to do feel like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if? And there's a certain amount of creative freedom you get when you run things like that.
Sure.
But also, don't feed the bears. If you feed the bears expect that you'll feed them next time. And so they'll keep coming back. And so if you give someone a soup army to play, they're going to expect to still be able to play that later. And they're like historically super wrong and learning. But I don't know, maybe a restraint or something, or only do something like this if you're really sure you're going to support it again. There's a lot of armies So there's what, 25 armies in the game?
25 armies. Yep, that's right.
Yeah. And so if they all have a halfway, a hybrid fighter druid, right?
Sure.
And then fighter mage and so on, it's a matrix. So even if you only start with a few classes, if you go if you make a halvesies hybrid of each one, you get a lot. 25 doing that, just rotate at one time even. That's a lot of random combinations of 2 random armies to bring forward forever.
Yep. Exactly.
If it's like a concept army,
especially when you exactly delineate the rules like this, right?
Yeah.
If it was just, well, death people can join other death people to like this small amount or whatever, okay, and you'd be like, well, that's just what we're going to do going forward.
Or like just a points limit, like they used to have, or 1 unit, not points, just 1 unit, or whatever, what have you. There's a million ways you could do it.
Yep.
Even that is, you don't have to support quite as much then.
And like when they're this delineated, like why do they have these specific things? Why are they these specific combinations? For balance. It's for balance, because when they let you choose and actually build your list, you might accidentally figure out a really good combination, and it might be really competitive and good. And then, oops, now we got to go in and unbreak that somehow. And how do we separate it between breaking it in, it's broken over in this army, but okay at best in its own army. What do you do? And we've run into that multiple times where it's like, oh, actually, over here, it's really good in this other army, but in its own army, it's like average at best. And
well, there's a bunch of really unsatisfactory ways you could do that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you could really genericize the allies.
Right.
But then that kind of defeats okay, if it's just a super generic war scroll, they have, I almost said trample. I've been doing too much magic. All right, they have their war scroll is actually just blank. They get +2 bravery when they're on an objective.
Sure. Sure.
Sorry, morale, capturing, whatever it's
objective control. Yes, I gotcha. I know what you meant.
That's it. And then just like a default weapon profile. Well, now the flavor of that thing is kind of gone. So you're like, well,
now it's just gray paste, and that's always
I wanted
terrible.
ogres in my army because ogres are big and they do 3 damage when they hit stuff, and that's all baked into the rules. If you make it generic and flavorless, then it's just like a theme army project that is almost like a hobby only thing, which in my personal opinion is where I would keep all of it. Just about.
Sure.
But
yeah, my point is this is not sustainable.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're at 64 and we're not at the end of this. There will be many more. At minimum, there will be another 18. Okay? Like, the floor for how many of these will exist is 82. And that's assuming like nothing else happens that would generate any more of these, which of course there will. Of course there will. Right? And you think they're going to go through and tweak and twist another 82 of these like extremely specific things going into 5th edition? No.
Brother, they can't do that to even the armies.
Right. These are all getting put in the trash.
Yeah.
Okay.
The main armies get +5, -5.
Right.
And you think they're going to balance 82 hybrids.
That ain't happening. Okay. So I have here the best case. So I want to talk about kind of the best case for this stuff. Let's Steelman allies and sort of the best, because I think by laying this down, it will actually like, I think by defining our goals and our best case scenarios, it'll help us define what a good future solution looks like. That makes sense? Okay.
The theory of mind for an ally enjoyer.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And I thought about this a lot, and I've talked to a person or two in my time who likes allies and mercenaries and all that. And I'm not talking down to them, but it truly is I just think it would be cool. That's it. That's the theory of mine for wanting allies and or mercenaries and or dogs of war and or whatever.
Yep.
I just think it would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not any deeper than that. It's just that.
And I think that's fine. In fact, so Jag, this is a great question.
Not a point against. Yeah.
No, absolutely not. What's the old line?
Cool
if it's like
good.
If it's soup and it's good, it's broken. If it's bad, it's narrative or something like that. Like however the line goes,
swap.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jag said, do you think, with the super chat, thank you, Jag, said, do you think designing around competitive play like helps or hurts the hobby? Many still feel more comfortable with official rules over homebrew, even if casual. My answer is a lot of people will be like, oh, everything, like Rob always said this, and I've disagreed with him vehemently on it for years, that everything that you do that makes the game more balanced for a competitive environment is also beneficial for casual players. Disagree.
No, yeah, I disagree.
I think that there are some things you should do. I think like generally having the game where like your points are relatively balanced and it's in like a reasonable win rate with all the armies, and all the armies have like some play against each other, and you're like doing appropriate testing and stuff like that, where you know how army A plays against army B and they have interesting interactions and stuff. So like what I would call just sort of the baseline stuff. Yeah, I think that's good, and I think that helps.
Some would call that competitive balancing, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a Notre Scotsman thing at the fringes, but many would call that competitive balancing. I wouldn't. If I wanted to flippantly answer the question, I would say that it presupposes we are balancing around competitive play, and we're just not. I don't think we are.
I think that
in this game, I don't think there is competitive play.
Really. Sure, it's like what is again, yeah. The flip side of that coin, like of how competitive is AOS, anyways. Like, okay, what are we doing here, really?
I think if you're gonna, there's a few ways to balance around competitive play. If you like, you're in a plane. How many miles above the Earth are you? At 30,000 feet. It's stuff like you look at a bar graph of faction win rates, which is like the most worthless information ever, but people really like it. It's kind of like a tier list. If you know enough, if you know enough for the tier list to be helpful, it won't. And if you don't know enough for the tier list to be helpful, you really want it. And it'll inform your choices, but you'll get the wrong impression from all of them. I think random who wins, which army wins the most, game win percent, I think that matters a lot less. To me, I would zoom in a lot more just based on the type of game this is. It's a 3-hour game.
Yep.
On average, minimum. Like you just look at the cross section of everyone playing AOS in the world and total it up. I think we're well above 3 hours for the average game. I don't care that I like normally beat this army, or like 2 out of 3 times. We have a 50-50 win rate, right? But I'm spending my entire evening after work, and it's pretty late when I'm driving home to my 2 wives, 13 kids, and I got to wake up for my 16 jobs. You know?
Yeah.
Time to game, right? What I care is if this game feels close and it doesn't feel over too soon, and if I feel like I have a chance to pull it back.
Right. Like there's some amount of fun you actually experience there.
The feeling of balance in that one game, in my opinion, is way more important. In Magic, you can just lose and shuffle up and play again immediately.
Yep.
You even get a bunch of commander games in the average night. If you're playing a fighting game, they got like a little 99, and you never use all of it unless you're playing against some keep away asshole. But you just lose next match.
Right.
And so that kind of percentile balance, this character is S tier, this character is B tier, you got a 60-40 matchup here. That stuff matters a lot more the shorter the games are, I think. But the longer the games are, the more imperative it is for every game to not be a blowout, to feel like there are no 80-20 matchups, almost to feel like you're always in it. And so I think, and what I'm describing is very much not competitive balance. It's like feelings balance and options balance within a big game.
Yeah, I think really what you're saying is there's a different user experience you actually should be designing for. And that is to spread the action over the course of the 5 rounds. So you actually get the full like fun out of the game and feel like you're doing it, right? You should be designing where, like, yes, there's some amount of like you have towards balance, but that's almost a secondary function, right? Where it's like, yeah, this one army can't smash you off the table just because we gave them all the rules that lets them literally go and hit you round 1 and kill your entire army. Like, sure, of course, I guess.
Yeah.
But what you're really talking about there is you should be having an eye towards like interesting abilities that aren't NPE and really watching like the damage units do and the defensive units and stuff like that, right? Like that's actually what you would be designing
for a long time. And many editions of AOS, they've tried to make it so that the game lasts 5 turns, but it meaningfully lasts 5 turns.
Well,
so like you talk out the last 2 battle rounds in most games.
Sure, of course. Games that go actually beyond round 3 or so.
I don't know if that should be okay. We got to systematically fix that.
Or just play 3-round games.
To do with allies. Wait, hold on. That has nothing to do with allies. What am I talking about?
All right, back to this. But no, it's a good discussion. Like ultimately, I think this does get wrapped into it because I think the simplification of the ally system.
It was because of the chat thing. And whenever I read chat, my brain goes to I'm streaming, and so I get to talk about whatever for 3 hours while we're watching.
There is a connection there. Gray Boy, by the way, with the super chat, would a good show idea be playing narrative games? I think I'd like to do a whole show on, well, game modes, and I'll talk about that on the next slide, actually. All right. So here's my argument. I wrote this before seeing anything about the cities stuff. Mm-hmm. So clearly I have tapped into something here. So that was good. I'm glad at least they think the same as me in this regard. There are some armies where this makes a great amount of sense. I don't think allies need to be an evenly distributed system. And I think in the best incarnations we've had, they weren't. Okay. Like I think in the best systems we've had, like you mentioned earlier, like no one wants to ally with Skaven. Well, yeah, because they're just going to eat him or kill him or stab him in the back, right? Like, yeah, duh. Yeah. Okay.
The only reason they wouldn't backstab them is that the person they're dealing with gets backstabbed first by the second in command.
Whereas like Cities of Sigmar, obvious force that probably has a lot of allies mixed into it. I'm glad to see that's getting paid off in some way. I believe probably as an army of renown, but hey, whatever. Okay. At least it's something, I suppose. But like in general, the Cities of Sigmar makes sense to be an allied force. It's supposed to be some kind of actual mixed thing. Lots of people come and visit the cities, right? I
mean, Cities of Sigmar began as allies.
Right.
And then there were so many of them that now they're just an army. So that makes sense. It makes sense for Stormcast to ally out.
Yep.
Like that's literally what they do in the entire campaign. Like that's what they do.
Like most order forces, it absolutely makes sense that Stormcast will just like lightning drop in and be like, we're here to help. Right.
Yeah. And and actually death a lot and even destruction, maybe, as long as it's against chaos. Not necessarily to help out the greenskins exactly, but to just show up and fight chaos in a battle that matters.
Sure.
Strategically, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Cygnus said they're cosmopolitan. 10 tips for plump lips using Aqua Gyranus. Absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Daughters of Cain in your area. Click here.
To be stabbed. Like the Fire Slayers and the Ogres, we talked about them. Like both of them make a tremendous amount of sense as like mercenary forces. Okay. I think honestly the Ossiarch Bone Reapers probably make a lot of sense as allies, even in order factions. Like
just write up a contract.
Sure. Like if they have a contract for the bone tie, then it's being paid off and some chaos force is threatening to wipe out their source of bones that they have a contract with. Like I would think they'd show up and be like, whoa.
Excuse me, that's my client.
Yes.
He owes me 6,000 years of bones, and I intend to collect.
That's right. So, I think there is forces that make sense. I'm not sure the Grand Alliances are actually the default breakpoint for this. Like, sure, you can imagine that's sort of the easiest way for some stuff to get together, like the old Soup Grand Alliance armies. You think okay, sure, some ghosts show up and help the Soul Blight Gravelords or something. Sure, fine, okay. Or ogres, or sorry, orcs and or get in a fight with some goblins, join up with them. Yeah, okay, sure. I'm not saying that doesn't also make sense. I'm just saying that actually the ones that are sort of the most narratively compelling are the ones that work cross-faction. Ogres, fire slayers, probably even, by the way, even in Chaos, there's an example of this, although it's a more sliver, which is the Dark Oath side of Slaves to Darkness. There's just a bunch of sort of chaotic humans. They'd go fight with other people if it means their survival, right?
So are we saying that we're essentially dividing the armies of the game into two categories now? We're creating a new category, and the category is mercenaries and non-mercenaries.
I'm doing it in 3 categories, actually. Okay. So here's my triage. Should have a lot of allies, wants to be a lot of people's allies, is not interested in being allied. Okay, so that's the third set. Or maybe the third one is only allies with very close people that they have an exact adjacency to, right?
Okay.
Something like
that.
So
it's more like blood types. You got donors, you got the universal donor, which is Stormcast.
Right.
You got AB negative, which is Skaven, right?
Exactly. Just nobody, exactly. There's just nothing. They're the weirdos. Yes. Right. And so I just think that.
How do we let the people know about that?
What's the methodology for it?
Yeah.
I think it's in your army
lore? Is it on their web store plus the lore?
Yeah, I think it's in the lore.
Make an official category that you click on, or is it every army may or may not have options for this? And if you give it to some players, the other ones are going to want it, even if it doesn't make sense. You tell them no.
Yeah, I think you just say no. I think in your in every army list on the website,
you got to tell them no every once in a while. Yeah,
I think that makes the best thing you can do as a game designer is learn when to tell your players no, that they can't have everything.
Respect your own boundaries.
Yeah, Monopoly is a great game. Okay,
according to the actual rules of Monopoly.
Boom.
Sure.
Yes. No one uses those rules, and hence it's an awful game because we've given everybody a bunch of extra house rules that actively make the game feel better in the moment, but make the game drag on and take hours and be terrible. Monopoly is a case study in how giving the players what they want makes the game actively worse. Right. And so yeah, I mean it seems easy enough that in the web store you could have you'd click on fire slayers or something. Let's say, actually, let's do cities. So you click on cities, it shows you all the cities units, but then there's a little sub tab and it says available allies for cities, or ally units that can join cities, or whatever, whatever fits in the little space, right? Mm-hmm. You click on there and it has a little thing up at the top that says these units can also be taken in Cities of Sigmar armies. You in this amount, blah, blah, blah. And it's just boom. And then it shows you the other things you can get.
And when you hover your mouse over it, it comes up with a little sort of pastel yellowy beige box that says, we guarantee to support this option for at least 2 editions.
Right.
Right before you click buy,
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I mean, 100%, Gray Boy, you're right. I mean, Monopoly is meant to be a lesson of just how cold and uncaring capitalism is. Yes, 100%. Yeah, it doesn't work when you then break it. Anyways, okay. So I think that's doable, right? And I think if you had that triage where you actually let the lore guide you, you could then figure out what is the appropriate rule sitting underneath that ladders up to that goal. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
I think that's the proper thing for this game. You're tempted probably as a designer. There's the siren call of diametrics where you're like, well, if this army can ally one thing, then every army should be able to ally one thing. And if this army can ally in two things, then every army has to also ally into two things, and everything will make a system, and then the system will be perfectly symmetrical for every other thing. And you're like tempted to always do that for everything. But that's not, I don't think that's correct as often as it's done. And especially for a game like this, that's generally supposed to be a little wacky and really asymmetrical. I think we've become a little too symmetrical with all this stuff.
Yep.
And I like the weirdness and the rough edges.
Agreed.
And everyone hates Skaven and they can't ally. And by the rules, if they could ally, it wouldn't even be a problem. It'd be fine. Maybe it would even be better in some way. But everyone hates Skaven. That's the lore. Sorry. I kind of like that.
Right. It says something about that.
In every game, it wouldn't fit in a Euro farming simulator game where everything has to be mathematically perfect, written by Germans. But in a game like this, I think it fits comfortably.
Yes.
At every step of the way, you got to remind people what kind of game it is and what kind of game it's trying to be. And so you look at the art and it's ostentatious and over the top and ludicrous and admittedly stupid sometimes. But that's the point. And then you look at the lore and it's over the top and silly. And like it takes the fantasy idea of what a fantasy idea is. It does it twice, right? And then you look at the rules for what I just described. They should not be universal, watered down, generic. The rules should reflect the setting and the lore and the art and the whole concept of it, which is over the top everything.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
Even rules.
Possible Cabbage, by the way, said Blood Bowl for star players on the web store. I know I don't play Blood Bowl at all, but this is interesting. For star players on the web store, it says will work for X types of teams without explaining anything about those teams. But there you go. So they already are doing it in some regard.
Okay.
So there you go. This star player will work with these different teams. Neat. Which makes sense. Like, again, Mordheim used to have that too. It's like, okay, this dramatis personae can be recruited by, you know, this and this and this warband, but not these guys or whatever. Okay. I want to talk about the mercenaries for a moment. So I grabbed the whole table of mercenaries from the rules. So these are the cross-factional, cross-Grand Allianceal, I should say.
Are we differentiating between donating and receiving then?
In this case, this is all people who are the donators.
Both.
They go elsewhere.
All right.
And they actually call them mercenary regiments. Like they literally have their own section in the rules. That go so like all the rest of them, there's like one section for each Grand Alliance. Like these are all the order regiments. And they only work for different order people. And death, and they work for different death people and so on. And then there's like the mercenary regiments who can go cross Grand Alliance in some way. Like they can go outside of their own faction or whatever. Okay. Yes, the inter-alliance mercenaries. That's exactly right. So you've got obviously the three giants who do this. Okay. The fourth one just works with destruction. So he's not on this list. Big Drog, Bundo, and One-Eyed Grunnock who work with bunch of I guess he is on here. Big Drog is the destruction guy. Then what's one missing? I don't know. Maybe somewhere else.
Big Drog.
Where's he at?
Fort Kika.
Yeah, exactly.
Whale Fighter. I can't remember the name of the other one.
Yeah, Big Drog is your destruction guy. Oh, never mind. He works with death. That's right. What am I saying? Okay, yes, I'm correct. Big Drog works with death and destruction. Bundo works with order and destruction. And One-Eyed Grunnock works with chaos and destruction. There we go. Okay, I'm back on board with myself. I talked myself out of it. And then you've got the Enforcers of the Tithe, which is a regiment that goes and works with a bunch of other people, including order people and even some like chaos people and stuff. There's a Mortis and Os Vector. This is the idea we were talking about. I like this. You've got the Exile Scavengers. So you've got some KO, right? Who will go and work with, again, like destruction, order, a bunch of even chaos, people who they can be bought. You've got the Goranen, whatever. It's the Ogroid people from Chaos, okay? And they'll go work with their old friends in Destruction, basically. Like, hey, hey guys, remember how we used to be part of your team, kind of? Well, we're over here now. You got Nurgle's Gift, which is just 6 Nurglings, 2 packs of 3, that'll work with like basically anybody. I love that you can take them with Lumineth Realm Lords, by the way. That's my favorite thing in the world. I love the Lumineth army with just like 6 Nurglings hanging out with it.
Oh,
yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Your ogres could have these could have, have you wanted 6 Nurglings?
That's like world unbuilding. I don't like it.
You've got Snurk's Trog for Hire, which this one I legitimately love. This does make sense to me. So this is just like a loon boss, allegedly Snurk, like an actual non-unique, guy. And his Dankhold Troggoth that he has tricked into service. And he's just selling this dude's services out. Yeah, that's legitimately great world building right there. Like it's just an enterprising goblin.
Crazy how we had those 2 back to back. And one of them was like visceral no. And the other was that's funny. Okay.
Yes. Because one is very narrative and completely makes sense, and I get it. Right. And one is just like, well, I guess the backstory is anybody can get sick and then the Nurglings come around. Is that the idea? I suppose, I guess. Yeah. But like they are working for me, and I'm as a player, I'm still moving them around. So, bit of a ludonarrative dissonance there. You've got the Squires of the Everchosen, which is a Vargulf, Courtier, and 3 Morbeg Knights who think they're Chaos Knights. So they work with Chaos stuff. They just think they're Chaos Knights. You've got a Stumblefoot Gargant. Please stop. Stop this. Stop trying to force this down our throats. Which is, by the by, the biggest list here. Heywo, just so you know. You ready? Here we go. The Stumblefoot Gargant. 1 Man Crusher Gargant for 140 points. It works with Beasts of Chaos, Blades of Corn, Bone Splitter, City of Sigmar, Daughters of Cain, Disciples of Zinch, Flesh Eater Courts, Fire Slayers, Gloomspite Gets, Heed Knights of Slaanesh, Hellsmiths of Shut, Idneth Deepkin, Ironjaws, Caradron Overlords, Cruel Boys, Lumineth Realm Lords, Magakin of Nurgle, Nighthaunt, Ogre Maw Tribes, Arcearch Bone Reapers, Seraphon, Skaven, Slaves of Darkness, Soulblight Gravelords, Stormcast Eternals, and Sylvaneth. That's right, folks. We're really trying to sell you this one giant.
Please, God, someone buy this awful thing. Oh. Hey, remember when they put it in an ogre army box despite it not being in our army?
Oh, they've done that so many times. Yes. Yes. Please take this thing.
Warlocks of the Destruction factions.
Yes. And then finally, you've got the Lost Song Spirits, which are like a Tree Lord and then 2x5 Spite Revies. They're just like sad, angry trees. And the trick is they work with all the death factions because they're sad. Okay. That's fine, I guess. These are the most interesting to me. And like, actually, the way I would love if this was this kind of concept would be if you just broadened this out slightly. Like, okay, with the giants, sure, you can just take like 1 giant because the giants work with that. There's no choice. There's no list building with giants anyways. It's just like, whatever, figure out which 4 giants you want, right? But I love the rest of these if there was just like the concept of enforcers of the tithe. And it's like, yeah, Arcearch Bone Reapers will go help out a lot of other armies that they've set up deals with to get their bones, right? And so you get like X amount of points to spend when you buy the regiment, and you can take this amount of stuff, right? Like these things, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or like anything with these keywords. Or something like that.
You get to build a 200-point army or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or whatever it amounts to, right? 400 points.
You get Mortek Guard for 140 and then that's it.
Right.
Or whatever. We'll figure it out. And then allies are a little unequal depending on how much their guys cost in that respect, but that's fine.
And like you could still do the Snurk Strog for hire. Because it could just be like, well, you have, must take some kind of loon boss or something. Sure, you can still have some requirements in it. Like you must have,
loon boss costs 0, guy costs 200.
Right, like must have 1 plus loon boss, and then beyond that, you get to take some trolls because he's got a bunch of trolls and he rents them out. Dudes like running. So it's like when you're driving down the highway, you see those companies over on the side of the road that just have a bunch of like lifty thingies, you know? They just be like all those little, you know what I'm talking about, the little lifty things. You need to get up to a high floor on a building. We got a lifty thingy for you. Come to Bob's lifty thingies. We got a whole parking lot full of lifty thingies. We rent them out. Okay. That's Snark. Yeah, great idea. Cool. Yeah. Right. This kind of idea is how I would do mercenaries, right? For all the armies where it really makes sense, there they would go mercenary. KO, Fire Slayers, OBR, whatever, right? You just have a thing you can take that says you can spend up to this amount of points and they've got to have this kind of keyword. There you go. Like, do we need this to be this complicated? Probably not. They don't benefit from any of your rules anyways. Like, you're taking an innately weaker choice. Just should like, they? I mean, you know, you could say no, you could say yes, you could let them in on something or not other things. Like, you could be smart about it since you're writing each of these individually, right?
Yeah, you have total control because you know the rules of the army and you know the rules that you haven't even written yet for the unit. So you can just make sure it's fine.
Right.
Because it's in my head, I'm like, you know, game balance wise, no, they shouldn't. Because it's easier to balance when they don't.
Sure. When they're very specific like this, it's easier to balance in the short term, but you create a lot more technical debt for yourself in the long term. It would be my argument.
But if we're doing it because it makes sense in the lore, like, well, it makes sense that KO would, you know, team up with somebody to exploit someone or chop down a bunch of trees or something. I don't know, like whatever, you know.
Yeah,
Slayers would go take Urgold for some other. Oh, all right. Well, if you're thinking about it, oh well, Gargants are going to hire Fire Slayers because they found Urgold and they want this wall broken down or something. And so when they're actually fighting, though, the first thing you think of is, well, the Gargant grabs a Berserker and he whips him.
Just throws him over. Absolutely.
And he survives it because he's a Fire Slayer and he just hits it and it's like a cannonball and he's just fine.
The old Colossus and Wolverine, for sure.
And he's got a 4-up, 4-up, 6-up, 6-up anyway, so it's fine. But that's what your army rules interacting with allies is.
Right.
Is that kind of thing, you know, in your head. Less balanced, creating a lot of problems for yourself in the future. But it's kind of in keeping with, well, it makes sense to do it.
Yep. Blue Rune Hobby and Games. So what's the difference between doing that and when we used to have the percentage ally rules? Because I'm making it more bespoke. I flipped it around the other way. Okay. What I'm saying here is these guys are mercenary ready. They're donors, and they bring a certain set of rules with them. And you build the little tiny force that goes over and joins, but it's from like some list of keywords. It's not generally from the army. So like with KO, let's say you can't like. They don't ship out ironclads. They don't just lend out their choice, the biggest boat, right? But will they send along like a Grunstock gun hauler and some Von Grimm salvagers? Yeah, sure. Of course. Like that actually quite makes sense as a force. Like they're all riding around, ballooning, hanging on that thing, and then they drop in, right? And they sell their services. Like that's very easy for me to picture. So like my point is you can have it in the army rules itself, like this army. So like a city style force, or whatever, they're ally receivers, right? They can take a bunch of different allies in and they have little special rules that says this is how you use all these different allies. And you can write very bespoke rules for each individual force where it makes sense. Whereas other armies don't get any of that. Skaven ain't getting none of that. They ain't lending people out. They ain't having people join them because they eat them. Either way. So yeah, I think that's the difference here. That's more of like a generic where I'm saying what we need is something bespoke, but we need to find a middle ground between let it rip across the, like, let's try to make a general list building rule, which has failed every time. And let's write this, which just creates ungodly technical debt because now we have to upkeep 80 plus or 100 plus of these very bespoke things. Like one of the ones on the death list says Black Knights in it. And nobody caught that. What is a Black Knight? They're Barrow Knights now. That's the thing, right? Did we update that? Or is that just like, that's the most recent one, by the way, and it still says that. Okay. So.
Well, the internal box probably says that too, next to its item number.
Sure.
I know, like I purchased certain ogre models from Games Workshop, and the box showed up with some fantasy ogre's name on it that I'd never heard of before. Oh, my man-eater's here, you know.
Amazing. Okay.
What you're saying is some armies should be special in some ways and then have to prove it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that they're like, oh, ogres are a mercenary force. You know, they mercenary a lot with other cultures. Okay, prove it. Oh, they do. Neat. And Skaven don't. That's interesting.
I would point out that 2 of the armies we've highlighted as mercenary forces, Fire Slayers and Ogres, have no mercenary regiments.
Oh, it's the opposite of your suggestion.
Interesting. They've missed the 2 most obvious ones. So, great job, guys. Great job. Well, right out of the gate.
Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that means people are buying plenty of ogres. They don't need an excuse. Like with the Man Crusher Gargant.
Yeah, sure. We gotta move some product here.
Yeah.
Okay. Nico, not really. Like, it just has been something on my mind of the allies. I mean, certainly the cog fort is a separate discussion, since apparently we're just gonna lend that out to everybody. Like, everybody can just make a cog fort, I guess. They really want to sell that $210 kit or whatever it's gonna cost.
Okay, well, it doesn't cheap. I can't use the word cheapen in the same sentence as the cog fort, I guess. But yeah, it kind of cheapens it for me. I like things being special. We give everything to everybody too much in this game, rules-wise and model-wise in a certain respect.
Yeah, exactly. Blue Rune Hobbies.
Exclusivity is interesting and fun.
Yes. Like, what's exclusive? One of the cool things about playing cities is you're a big tent party. You know, you get to bring in a bunch of different things because you're all fighting for like, the candle in the darkness, right? Or if you like, one of the cool things about ogres is that a lot of people will just hire them because they're very mercenary. And if you just if you've got like, hey, look, we've got this giant pile of meat, and we've got bad guys over there, and we love it. We would like to give you this giant pile of meat if you make those bad guys not over there anymore. Like, most ogres will be like, yeah, that's a good deal.
Yes, you can. Oh, all right.
Yeah, you can eat them too when you're done. Yeah, exactly. Like,
well, I was gonna.
Yeah. I just assumed that was part of the deal.
Yeah.
Yes. Like getting a deal to go into a dungeon when they're like, yeah, we're gonna take you can keep all the loot that you find in the dungeon. Yeah, man, we were gonna.
Yeah, we were gonna.
Wasn't bringing it back to you. Okay. So anyways, I think you could have, as I said, like, it's a triage system, right? One is receptors, receivers, the people who can be like, are ally friendly. They bring in a lot of allies. They have special rules for them. It's part of the way the army is constructed and thought of, is that it's ally friendly. And you could have more rules apply to other allies when they come in and so on and so forth. You have ally donators, as you said, like people who are just naturally allied. And so they can like go in a lot of other armies. And with some limited points thing where it's like, you can, they'll up to 400 points of ogres can go into these armies with these keywords, right? So like, you're not taking a Frostlord on Stonehorn. He is an ally. He's got a job. That dude's busy. He's leading a whole Aether Stun or whatever out through the frozen wilderness, right? He's busy.
Alfro Stun, but
Alpha Stun. Yes, however I can't. Yes, that thing.
That's how you're supposed to pronounce it. It's really just all Frostin, as in all Frost ones.
Oh, okay, cool. But yes, like, that's what's going on there, right? But of course, could you take like some gluttons or some, man-eater type stuff, whatever that, hopefully we get a new version of that concept. I really, really hope. Yes, 100% you can. That's exactly the kind of ogres who are going around fighting, right? Yeah,
I'm actually looking forward to that a lot, as an aside. How the man-eaters, like in fantasy, there was a little Empire one who was done up in the whole thing and everything.
Yeah.
Just do that for Age of Sigmar, Here's a City of Sigmar ogre. Here's an ogre with a little fish, and he's got a fishing pole sword. and some
He's the IDK guy. He's got a scuba mask on.
Yeah. And then an ogre that's in very ill-fitting golden armor, you know, and he considers himself a Stormcast. Like,
sure,
you can have fun with that every once in a while. And you can pull from different armies. One of them's got a big mohawk and like paints himself orange or something.
He's got little drawn on runes.
Yeah, he's just drawn them on.
Yeah.
They don't give him the gold, you know, that's the...
But they give him like a gold marker. You can just go nuts.
One of the, you got to shake the little paint pens. Yeah.
Yes. Like if you're getting a special signature at a convention or something, right? And they're like, I want to pay for the gold shadow signature or whatever. Side note, when I was at MagicCon recently, I was in line to get like a playmat that I bought from an artist signed because I really like the artist and I really like the playmat. And I just wanted him to sign it. It was like, came with it. I bought the playmat and they're like, you can have him sign it. And I was like, okay. And there was like 3 people in front of me in line. It took 25 minutes for those 3 people to get their signatures because they were all like, well, can I have you sign this and this and this and this using the special rainbow pattern double shadow signature nonsense? And I was like,
with a stack of cards, get signing. Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I get it. I get you. I'm not blaming the artist. You're trying to make money, but Jesus. Okay. Anyways. And then my thing, I walked up, I was like, could you sign my playmat, please? He's like, there you go. It's like, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I like your art. And then I walked away. That was it. 60 seconds. When you put
the playmat down, was he waiting for you to put the stack of 87 tarpons from Ice Age that you wanted him to sign?
Right, exactly.
And he just didn't. And he's, oh, just the mat. Okay.
Just the mat. Yeah. Just the mat. Okay. Potential. All right. Let's talk future here. After all this, I think we can get to the future. Okay.
All right.
So my argument is this. Question the first. Hey, well, do we think the rules for allies will change again?
Yes.
Yes. Like 100%. There's no way this is actually a system. So that then begs the question, what do we want?
Whenever we have a new edition, we have to change everything, even if it doesn't need changing. And that's going to be next time. Also, the current system sucks a lot, and so it ought to be changed.
Yep.
So this isn't a doomer thing. They should change it. So that's good.
Agreed. I think you got 2 options here. One, you go the route that we discussed, which is you build it into the armies from the ground up. It's just part of each army's identity that it can do this thing. Okay.
Are we far enough into this game to nostalgically look back?
Sure.
As people
people nostalgically look back to like 6 months before the current day. So yeah, sure, why not?
Okay.
But like,
in which case, then yeah, I think that could happen. We could go back because maybe we've lost a little of the magic, of the personality, of the, I don't want to say zaniness, but there was some of that was charming. You know?
Yep. Absolutely.
And the personality and the little bit of silliness. We could go back to, let's have the rules inform and explain a little bit more about what it means to be such and such army.
Yep.
Or such and such culture. I'm not saying bring back Realms of Battle rules that no one uses because they didn't want to roll the die and look at the table. But that was a cool sounding thing.
Sure.
It was interesting that they attempted to have the realms mean anything at all.
The most interesting aspect of your fantasy world actually applying to the game in some way. Yeah, it's a bold move.
Yeah. And then the way that they had it apply was before the game begins, which legendarily takes forever to do everything that you need to do before a game begins in AOS. Do a bunch of extra stuff that no one wants to do, and then a bunch of people didn't, which is a little sad. I wish the realms did have more of a thing, more of a, I guess, representation in the game side of the game.
Right.
So we could do that for armies and allies and stuff too. That's a fine idea. What do we actually want out of this system?
That is the question. I think what I want out of it
the
is for it to respect the narrative in some way, for me to build these armies. And I think either way, you got two options there in my mind. One is you bespokely design the forces so that they either, as we've talked about, either like, fall into one of the three buckets. Okay, that's option one. So you take it out of list building effectively. Like, that is to say, out of like the generic, this is how you build a list. You make it an exception rule, if that makes sense what I'm saying. Yeah, so it lives at the army level, not at the game level. That's number one.
All right.
If it has to live at the game level, then my argument is you need different list building modes. Like, you just need different game modes. Okay? I don't care
that's
what
fine,
that...
because we got to fix list building anyway. So we're going to be under the hood already.
Yep. We're taking that engine fully out and stripping it down and reassembling it. Yes.
Yeah.
Right? And... like, I don't know if I believe that, Jaunty Scarecrow. Ultimately, I do think there's a world where game modes can work. And I've heard some people have pushback about this, like, well, it's hard to find a game. What if you build a list for this type and then this other person wants to play this other thing? Yeah, sure. Like, that can all happen. Okay. But my argument is most people don't just build build and buy exactly like 2,000 points. Most people generally, if they collect an army, and have some amount of extra you can twist around in some way. Okay.
Over time, they acquire much more of the army.
Yeah. Most people don't get to exactly one list of 2,000 points and then stop. And by the by, even if they did, congratulations, your list will definitely not work in 6 months when they change points. And suddenly that list isn't valid anymore. You're going to be forced
to. Yeah, you will change because you'll be forced to.
Yep. So I just...
a season that changes that, or
right. Either the GHB will change it, or the points will change it, or whatever. Right. So I just don't buy that as pushback. I think you could have different play modes with different advanced modules that change the rules around for list building. You see, like, for tournament level play, it's very restrictive. It's this stuff. It's got to be on these exact rails, and there it is. And for sort of normal games, right? It's a more free, open thing. That's it. And I don't know what that delta looks like. It doesn't need to be huge, but it can be present. And that's how you could open up the allies gate, right? Because then you could be a little more unbalanced and be a little more wacky with it and just say, like, yeah, look, we're setting the tight tournament rules over here for the tight tournaments. You can use, we'll call it the tournament set or the mess around set. I don't know, whatever, right? The kitchen table set. There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
And like, there's no reason you couldn't have different advanced modules there. Not just like I don't even mean like you're using or not using them. Like I talked about last week, you could just have like, here's the version for the tournament. Here's the list building for the tournament rule set. And here's the list building for the kitchen table rule set. And they don't need to be like incredibly crazy different. Like they can just be, have some different options.
It'd be kind of cool if they were, though.
Sure. I mean, they can be, my point is, the delta can be large without it being like, oh, I have a completely invalid army now.
Yeah.
Right. And so
it kind of has to live. Something like that kind of has to live in rules less than models, though. Imagine showing up for a game of Commander Night and somebody's like, let's play Kings, Assassins, and Star Formation version. Because we have 7 people or whatever.
Sure.
And side note, you are about to have the least amount of fun you've ever had in your entire life. You're going to wish for the embrace of death.
Tom loves that crap, by the way.
Minutes in. Yeah, I'm sure he does.
He loves that crap.
Miserable. But you can just take your commander deck and just do it. The rules are different, but you just do that.
Yeah, it's still the same deck. Yeah.
With ally thing, it's like, oh, I'm actually I was thinking about playing the module where everyone gets a free dog, and so you take a 2,000 point army, and then you get 200 points of allies just on top of it for free, and so it's everybody gets a free dog module, and you're like, well, I don't have, and bring that, or I don't have that or whatever.
Well, that's kind of the best case scenario, because in that one, you just don't use, you're like, okay, I guess I just won't use my free dog or whatever, right?
or the first 200 points of my army that dies, I put it back on the table or something. You know,
Sure.
you can really quickly come up with some kind of solution for that, I guess. It's not impossible.
Don Curry, I want to tackle this one directly. He says, well, I think it would be fun. People always pick match play. Okay. Well, I think it'd be neat if cars worked. People just use horses, okay? Like horses have been around for 3,000 years. This newfangled automobile isn't going to replace it. Like, behaviors change. Behaviors are a function of incentives. Okay? So, like, if you create incentives that are different, people will behave differently. It's that easy. It's not like human psychology isn't like the most incredibly crazy thing in the universe. And so, like, my point is, if this other form, whatever this is, was like usable and actually fun, and most people found it enjoyable, 99% of all Warhammer played is not played at a tournament. Okay.
Yeah. Also,
so they used match play because it was like the cleanest one, and because the narrative rules in past editions where they had like narrative play was all janky and extra and nonsense for like no reason, right?
Yeah, and we all made fun of it, but you know, it was nice to have as an option that I never did, except those 3 narrative tournaments I entered plus Steve Herner's thing.
Right.
But it was wild. And you know, Don Currywurst, it's true that everyone always picks matched play. That's true. But every once in a while you get something like a commander, where people just come up with something and it's so good it catches on, and then it actually devours the whole game. And I don't think it's bad to test the waters and just try to hit a bingo every once in a while when the cost to attempt is so low.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
for the first
a new GHB and you write 6 different wacky modules,
mm-hmm.
and then no one uses any of them, and then next GHB you do it again for some other ideas or whatever, and every once in a while you hit like a Triumph of Treachery where there's something like really interesting there, and it kind of catches on a little bit, and then you don't support it, but it could have blown up bigger than it had.
Right.
And maybe, you know, alternative future, they could have really jumped on Triumph and Treachery and came out with a book for it, and now it's the commander of AOS, and people are like, 1v1, I guess.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like, it very well could have happened. And filling up, what would you call it? Filler episode pages of a GHB with, you know, just swinging at strikes. Might as well.
Yeah. Magic's the perfect example. For so many years, like your 2 formats were basically 60 card 1-on-1 or 40 card 1-on-1 in some kind of limited, you know, draft or sealed format, right? And that was just it. And everybody was fine with it. And then some tournament organizers got bored and created Elder Dragon Highlander, and it took years, but it caught on. And now it's a dominant force. And so on and so forth, right? You could go for like lots of games where just, I mentioned Monopoly earlier. We all played with the house rules of Monopoly. They were written nowhere in the book. It was just passed down to us that, of course, this money goes in the middle here, and when you do this thing, you get this money. And it's like, that wasn't in the rules. That was just, we all learned it by osmosis. It caught on.
Yeah,
right? So I refuse to believe it's impossible.
To ruin the game.
Yeah. We all agreed, let's ruin the game together like that.
My father's father played Monopoly wrong, and it was not fun. And by gum, that's the household we're going to be in today.
That's right. So, like, I think a lot of times people throw up these barriers because it's easy to say, well, it'll never work because it hasn't worked. Well, again, that's the history of humanity, is a lot of things didn't work until they did work.
Yeah.
Right?
But it also means don't buy every meme coin.
Right. Sure.
Because history often forgets the many, 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 many times that something almost happened and then failed before it worked.
Yep.
So there's that too.
Be a discerning shopper. Yes.
You go onto YouTube and you see like GW dying ? Down red arrow stock market thing person face. You know, they're doing that, right? And you're like, man, all these, it's just negative content must sell really well. You know, everybody's doing that. No, if you've ever really deep dived into YouTube a little bit in a particular thing to see how many people are doing this, how many people are trying this, like I have, there's 100,000 people attempting to make videos called GW Dying and getting 14 views and just stopping.
Right. Meanwhile, the like positive channel about a dude who's just doing some cool woodworking is pulling like 1 million per video upload, right? Where he just like makes a chair or a bench or something, and it's just like really soothing to watch it. That dude is just raking views.
Yeah. A guy just cleaning drain pipes when it's raining.
Right.
For 45 minutes. And you're shown it someday. Yeah. So there are a lot of failed attempts climbing Mount Improbable over here.
Yep. Because I just think right now, like, these aren't really usable in their current form. Our hit rate is terrible. Nobody plays with these because they fail at every mark where you would use them, right? Because the possible functions they would have are, one, it's like competitively interesting for your army. Well, nope. The vast majority of them fail that test, like right out of the gate. Unreinforced bad units,
actually, so that I could play with ogres.
Right.
Not goblins. I'd be playing in the goblin army if I wanted goblins.
So they're not the competitive choice. They're not fun because there's no actual customization. You don't get to do anything with it. You don't get to say anything about yourself or express yourself by doing it. You just have to take this garbage you're handed. And 3, the other reason that you would use them is because like they bring some kind of interesting narrative or rules or something fun, and they don't do that. So they are neither fun nor competitive nor like engaging. They are a failure in every way, and we have tons of them. Again, what are we doing when there's 100 of these, right? If they publish any extra, we will cross into triple digits before the end of 4th edition. What are we doing? Like,
it's gonna have staying power too. Whatever they come up with, it's got to have longevity.
Yes.
And not only does it have to have longevity, which is something that you cannot prove at the point of sale or the point of showing them the rules for it, that's going to take a while for that to settle in. If you come up with new ally rules in 5th edition AOS, it won't be until 6th edition is announced and you can still play that allied up army that people will begin to believe you.
Should be like, guys, we've cracked list building. This is it. This is going to be the thing. We'll do a new edition sometime, but this is it. We're going to stick with this. Have some consistency. Yes.
So that's a long time before the stigma of, well, this is just temporary, whatever, is going to wear off.
Before the stink of it wears off. Yeah.
It's got to be like 5th edition comes out and they issue a press release or something and they're like, everybody's souped up slop armies get to stay because we're making a change and we're writing it down. And we were the ones who came up with this and we don't want your armies to just go away. And so the soonest they could do that is in 1.5 years. And if they change change kind of everything again, the soonest they could do that is in 6 years. 5.
Yeah, I mean, basically, well, for 4 years and 1 month, that's when 6th edition will come out. Somehow that is true.
It'd be great.
Yeah. That's going to be the one. You know, it's like,
baby.
Like, again, how many times do you have to touch the hot stove? Right? So GW there is a very strong internal belief that when things leak early, it negatively impacts sales.
It probably does in a certain, if you're a marketing person and you're planning an entire, like, the Matrix transmedia kind of thing, where we're gonna do this timetable and this, and then release that trailer, and then there's gonna be a website tied into it. And if that thing gets screwed up, then probably it's gonna reach less eyes then had your master plan gone through without a hitch, right? Because if leaks end up getting more eyeballs on your stuff, then the official thing would just be leaks because it's better.
Right. You just wouldn't get clicks on your marketing plan.
You wouldn't
for sure.
get clicks on your website or your app, which is what you're trying to do also.
Yes.
Because the internal parts of the company have to be kind of adversarial in annoying ways. But yeah, but if the thing that leaks is really exciting, then it's probably pretty good for you anyway.
Right. If
new ogres leak and they're amazing,
right,
that's good because it means amazing ogres. Like I'm passing a billboard, amazing ogres ahead. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, dang. All right.
My question would be, why is that true? Why is this literally the only industry where that's true? When details of a movie leak early, if they're good details, if like it's exciting, the stuff that's there, like, oh, you know, it leaked out that Lobo is going to be in Supergirl or something, and people like Lobo. Okay.
Woo, Lobo.
Right.
I wonder
like
if the fish guy is going to play him.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that reduces Supergirl's ticket sales, right? Like, give me a break. Okay. Why is this literally the only industry where that happened? Now, if like the whole movie leaks or something, sure, of course. If like literally the whole movie leaks out, people just watch it free on YouTube or something.
Animated GIF that's like an hour long that you watch the whole movie on. Yeah.
Right. Then like, of course, duh. Right. But my point is that like, I don't buy that for a minute. I think if rules leak and they look crappy or models leak and they look dumb, yes, you will get less sales. That's not because it leaked. It's because the thing was bad. All right.
But you have to think like a marketer. As a marketer, you have no control over the quality of the thing you're trying to sell.
Sure.
And so leaks terrify you because you have no confidence in the quality of your product at all. You're just here to trick people.
Of course.
I'm using angry words, I guess, by accident, but hey, marketing's really important. It's really important.
It is, especially like creating noise, signal from the noise in the modern world. Gooball says, Vince, don't you work in marketing? I do not. I am in product management, which say like marketing sits over there. I have to work with them. I create things. I'm the idea guy.
I like how you responded like I walked up to a doctor and called them a nurse.
Excuse me.
Doctor.
That's right.
Thank you.
I am the hub. That is a spoke. Please do not confuse us. Thank you, and much appreciated. All right, look. But like, you know what does definitely hurt sales? When no one trusts your rules are going to work. Like, there's no way those regiments are announced. Like they talk about it with every release. It's like a huge part of the thing. Also, here's the new regiments of renown, and it's this and this stuff, and we're making a special box for it. And it's like, who cares? I don't believe this is valuable. What am I? Would I fall off the turnip truck yesterday? Like, get out of here. Okay. So like having rules that no one believes will stick around, I am positive that hurts sales. Okay. So, it's all good, Gooball. Just messing with you. Yeah. So at any rate, fix this, make it enduring, figure out, do one of the two things we talked about. That's it. Those are the two ways forward. Different modes where you can have a more free system at the kitchen table level. So we don't have to worry about this dumb balance crap at all. Or build the armies to be, which I would rather actually option 2, honestly. Build the armies where they, like, I think game modes has value on its own, but build the armies where they're ally, donators or receivers or not.
In other words, play for the long game.
Yeah.
Playing for the short game is already beginning to bear fruit because no one trusts that these ally things are going to stick around, and so it probably is hurting sales. Short term, it was probably good, but we passed that now. I remember a world. try to guess what time period in AOS this was. I went to a tournament for Age of Sigmar, 5
I'm ready.
rounder.
Okay.
And every round, I played against an opponent, nice guy, different armies, different GAs, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the same 500-point unit across from me in every single game. Every game.
I'm going to guess this was during the Kronspine time.
It was a Kronspine.
Yep.
I played against a Kronspine 5 times in 5 rounds of a tournament.
Yep.
And how many of those Kronspines were real, actual Kronspines purchased from Games Workshop?
I would be shocked if it was 1, but I'll say 1 just for the sake of it.
It was 2.
Okay.
Because they knew, and I knew, and I knew they knew, and GW probably has to end that thing was going to get put right next to the car batteries in the ocean in about a year. And it was. And if the ally system means that I play against a quarter of everyone's army being exactly the same 5 tournament rounds in a row, what do you even sell 25 armies for?
Right.
If 25% of my opponents are running the same thing. Or rather, 25% of my opponent's total armies were the same. I feel like if you have 25 armies in your game, then diversity is one of your main selling points de facto. So don't ruin that, which allies do to varying degrees. And so my perfect solution is make them terrible and temporary. And every once in a while, OP in a way that everyone hates. Because if you keep doing that, eventually everyone will stop buying them forever and they'll go away. And making them go away would make the game better. And it's what I really want.
There you go.
Thanks for listening to my TED Talk.
No, it's a good note to end on. All right, folks. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed this discussion. Thank you to everybody who super chatted. Hey, don't forget, down below, there's all sorts of links, things you can click on that really help the channel. If you're watching this on your phone and you're still watching, first of all, impressive forearm strength there to be holding your phone the whole time. Secondly, you can hit like a hype button. I should have mentioned this earlier. I got to mention this at like the top of the show. It's a new thing you can hit now.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
What does it do?
It's like a social credit system, basically. We expand the dystopia every day.
So YouTube century of shame begins.
That's right. That's right. So I don't know, hit that thing, hit like, hit subscribe, just hunt around on there. You can only hit the hype button on mobile for some reason and only in the first 48 hours. So I don't know, do that, I guess.
Well, PC viewers don't matter. Jeez.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
I was looking for it as you were talking and I couldn't find it. And I'm like, am I so old I can't find this now? No, it's on mobile only.
Okay. Mobile only. So there you go. You have to even have to slide the little buttons over on your phone, and there's the hype button. It's just like they do not want people to find this. And like there's some channels that just get like 1,000, 100,000 hype, and I'm like, okay, they're farming. You're farming. Cool. At any rate, hit all those things. Check out the links down below. Where is the hype button? Hades, if you look at your little buttons that are underneath the screen, I'm going to literally walk you through this. If you grab the little buttons, that's a slider now. You can move it left to right. There's no UX indication or UI indication that would be the case, but you can. You can slide the buttons over. And once you do, there's a little hype button that shows up. And if you hit it, you get 5 hypes per week. Everybody gets 5 hypes per week. And you can only hype channels.
I disagree. I think Fireslayers should have more hypes per week.
More hypes per week for them, yeah. They give hype away more easily. Yeah, they're all doing this.
Shouldn't get any.
So that's just ready. At any rate, hit those things. Hit the links down below. Yes, that's the way to go. Hit all them links. Buy your hobby supplies through my links. Go to Michigan Toy Soldier. Go to all that stuff. Buy the new Art of book is available now from Game Envy. You can get that. That link is down there. So picking up that stuff really, really, really does help the channel in a big way. So anyways, thank you to everybody. Thank you to everybody who chats, supports with just clicking things. It is very appreciated. Hey, whoa. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you being here. Good discussion today. I think both of us are very passionate about this thing for multiple reasons. So
look,
there
you got to
go.
be able to argue the other side. Otherwise, can you truly lay a claim anywhere, right?
That's right.
Yeah, we're mostly against allies, but
maybe you
gotta be
can't
able to
hype
at least
it when
give
it's
them a fair
live.
shot.
It might be that you have to wait until after it goes. I have no idea what the rules are for hype. I just know it's there.
They're trying. They're trying to do it. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I suspect it's probably because you can't hype a live thing. I have to wait until I click this button here that says we're done now.
Oh yeah, because nothing says not hype like live content versus prepared.
Why would you want to hype something that's going on right now?
Watch something live. That's not hype.
Yeah.
It's hype to wait for it to happen and then watch it later. Video on
Right.
demand.
At any rate, hey everyone, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you watching. Like I said, next week's show, I don't know what to tell you. It'll happen. Where it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, how. These are all questions I don't have answers to. At any rate, thank you so much. As always, we'll see you next Wednesday. And don't forget to start rolling dice.